Wearing a white robe and a delicate sword, I want the whole world to kowtow to me. If the sky oppresses me, cut off that day, if the earth blocks me, cut this earth to pieces. So I cut off my finger under the sword, not betraying my man 7 feet. Chapter 1. Hello Liuli. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Los Angeles. In this small place, for some reason, a place called Shen Valley appeared on the North Mountain. No one knows why it appeared, and no one knows what there is. The most powerful in Los Angeles is the Chu family, and then the Yi family also stood up because of it. The Knight family in Luocheng was only selected by the Nine Heavens Temple a year ago due to 2 geniuses, one named Yi Tianyi, and the other named Youfan was selected by the Wind Xian Academy a month ago. What are you doing, Knight Maple? Didn't I tell you not to go to Beishan? Said the 5th elder. Youfan said, 5th grandpa, just go once. Look, who doesn't go to the North Mountain now? The appearance of Shen Valley is ordinary, aren't you curious? I saw the 5 elders holding their hands in front of their mouths and coughing twice. No, I'm not curious. Can't you learn to be a sage like others? This can't be blamed on Youfan. He has never had the impression of his parents since childhood, without anyone to discipline him, and is very mischievous. When he was young, Grandpa Wu of the Yi family hit him a lot. Youfan said, okay, I won't go. I'll go back to the house now. Evening. Youfan said in the room, Chu, Grandpa Wu doesn't want me to go to the North Mountain, so I'm going to take a look. Do you want to keep it a secret for me? A maid named Chu said, young master, isn't it okay? Grandpa Wu will scold me if he knows. Or I can accompany you. I'm also very powerful now, really. Youfan raised the corner of his mouth and said in a high voice, no, not at all. I'll go by myself, and you just stay at home and handle the 5 elders for me honestly. Chu nodded and said, okay. As soon as they left, the lives of the 2 geniuses immediately changed, and no one knew what had happened to Youfan in Shen Valley. At the entrance of Ye's house, someone, is there anyone? Your Knight family genius is dying and you haven't come out to pick him up yet. A woman named Chu Chi raised her lips and said loudly. At this moment, the head of the household, Youfan, flew out and said, what's going on? What's wrong with Youfan? Chu Chi said, I know that. When I met you in Shen Valley, I brought it back to you. I've been in a coma, but who knows what happened? Oh, I see. It must be because the heavens are displeased with your Yi family. After 2 geniuses, you must have died young. Unfortunately, you are not the strongest Yi Tianyi, Chu Chi chuckled. Yi Fei angrily said, you're reckless. The old man said on the sidelines, Yi Fei, who is so reckless and started to act, really afraid of your Yi family. You. Chu Yun was about to say something when Chu Chi interrupted him and said, all right, genius is dying. Everyone will be impatient. Let's go back, Elder Chu Yun. No matter how the head of the Yi family or the elder asked, Youfan remained silent because he didn't know how to say it. The dark figure couldn't see a person's face clearly and had no human appearance at all. A day later, rumors spread throughout the entire city of Los Angeles that Youfan from the Yi family had become a useless person. Have you heard that? I heard that those families who were robbed of their minds by the Yi family have already provoked their doorstep. The Yi family has become a street mouse overnight, and everyone is shouting and fighting because they rely on their 2 geniuses to bully others. This is the retribution of wrongdoing. Both of our Yun family's minds were taken by the Yi family, and now one has been abandoned, leaving only 1 genius who hasn't returned a year ago. It's time to come back. Let's go. I saw a group of people walking towards the Yi family, not only the Yun and Wang families, but also some sects at the doorstep of Ye's house, shouting, Yi flies out. In the main hall of the Yi family, I saw the head of the family, Yi Feihe, discussing something with the elders. One elder said, what should the head of the family do now? I saw the homeowner not speaking. The elder said, I have a question that I don't know if it's feasible or not. Yi Fei said, whatever elder has, it's worth talking about. The elder said, one of them is to return all the industries they received from them. The second is that we have gained these industries from Yi Feng. Therefore, we need to slander Yi Feng and say that those who took away your industries were instructed by Yi Feng. We also need to remove the identity of the crown prince so that they are willing to believe it. Seeing that Yi Fei remained silent, the fifth elder angrily said, don't think I don't know what's going on. Over the years, robbing their property has been instructed by your elder. Aren't we supposed to have this day? Besides Yi Feng's crown prince status, isn't it taking away your grandson's opportunity to become a crown prince? The five elders treat Yi Feng well in the Yi family, but unfortunately their own strength and power are too humble. In private, Yi Feng is also known as the five grandfathers. The elder did not refute anything, completely unaware of what he had done wrong. He took away their property just for the sake of the Yi family, but Yi Feng took away his grandson's crown prince title and had no chance of becoming the head of the family. He said nonchalantly, Master, hurry up and make a choice. Letting Yi Feng take the blame is just to prevent them from thinking about us. If the people outside don't respond, they might rush in. The name Yi Feng has already been demoted from a genius to a useless person and a street mouse in Luocheng. Everyone has to curse because the head of the family, Yi Fei, chose the advice of the elder. 1 year later, under the big trees in the courtyard, only the long-haired boy's hair was seen as white ribbons, flowing and soft, with a straight nose bridge, thick eyebrows, and a pair of bright and lively eyes perfectly combined. He was dressed in white, sitting in a wheelchair, looking up at the sky, then lowered his head but looked at his legs helplessly. Looking down, he saw a small woman who seemed to be the same age as a teenager appear in front of him. The woman in front of her was wearing a very ordinary servant attire, but it did not affect her beautiful appearance at all. Her round big eyes were clear and casual, her nose was small and delicate, and 2 dimples appeared at the corner of her mouth when she smiled. He said, "It's been a year, why not go?" The girl said, "I haven't seen you for a year. You locked yourself in a room and just wanted me to leave." Yi Feng said, "I know who left me, and you won't leave me. I really want to know why. Don't tell me again, we've seen each other before." The girl smiled and said, "Yes, I have." "When exactly is that?" Yi Feng asked in confusion. The girl seemed to be jokingly laughing and said, "I'll probably count it for tens of thousands of years." Hee hee. I saw the girl counting one by one with her fingers in both hands. "Do you think I believe me?" Yi Feng said helplessly and awkwardly. The girl looked at the jade pendant on his body and left without saying anything, as if she felt a little relieved. Everyone in the Yi family said that this is the girl Yi Feng's parents picked up outside. Is it only the girl who knows in the Night family, Yi Feng can be said to be isolated and helpless? Even if he becomes the crown prince, he is still being used by the Night family. However, he is a bit stronger than before, and no one is bullying him or Chu Chu anymore. Chu Chu doesn't care whether Yi Feng is a crown prince or a useless person. He's just like a maid, always walking behind Yi Feng. Chu Chu said, "It's been a year now. Do you want to go out and take a look? I'll push you." "Okay." The 2 people in the courtyard were chatting and laughing. Just as Chu Chu and Yi Feng were about to leave, they saw a young man who was only a few years older than Yi Feng talking to his subordinates beside them. "Yo ho, the great genius prince. I thought you were like your parents, dead." The 2 subordinates next to him said, "Ha ha ha, what kind of prince? He has been demoted long ago. Look where he is sitting, it's really pitiful." Chu Chu was so angry that he wished he could punch them in the face. At this moment, Yi Feng interrupted Chu Chu and said, "People can humiliate me, bully me, but they cannot humiliate my loved ones. You are already dead and cannot be redeemed." Yi Zixing said, "Okay, okay. In a month, the Crown Prince's banquet will be waiting for you. Let me see what kind of redemption method is impossible." That's right, Yi Zixing is the grandson of the elder. It was precisely because Youfan was expelled from the crown prince that he became the youngest and most talented person in the Yi family. Naturally, he could become the crown prince. Chu Chu was about to say something when Youfan interrupted and said, "Okay, I'll be there in a month." After seeing Yi Zixing leave, Youfan returned to his own courtyard and said to Chu Chu, "Don't worry, I'm here and no one will bully us. You go back to your own room, I want to be alone and quiet." Chu Chu said something and then returned to his own room. Youfan was staring inside the room. Thinking back to a year ago when Yan Xingu was attacked by a black shadow, I remember that the black shadow seemed to be looking for something, and I was very certain that it was on Youfan. Youfan didn't know what attracted him. Then he touched the jade pendant around his neck. It was something he had worn around his neck since he had it. It was something his mother had worn around her neck. Her mother didn't tell her where the jade pendant came from or what it was for. She never thought much about it, only thinking it was something his mother had left for him. So he placed his hand on the jade pendant and rotated his spiritual power. The jade pendant shone with a dazzling golden light, which made Youfan unable to bear it. He closed his eyes. After stopping his spiritual power, he opened his eyes and the golden light disappeared. He found himself surrounded by darkness, only a jade pendant. The jade pendant treasure said, "You're too foolish. It took you so long to come in and you've been limping for over a year. You're so decadent that you don't even consider how to cure your leg." Youfan said, "What are you? You can actually speak and treat your legs. Can you?" "A year ago, I felt the presence of danger and woke up. However, I blocked the attack of the black shadow for you and fell into a deep sleep again. Because my strength did not recover much, I saved your life. However, there was a huge gap in strength between you and the black shadow. In addition, I did not recover much strength and could not save my legs. After blocking the attack for you, I also fell asleep again. Just now, you awakened me again." The jade pendant said, "First of all, I am not a thing. My name is, the glass green lotus pendant. It doesn't sound good to call me the green lotus pendant, so you have to call me the glass pendant. I can speak because I have given birth to wisdom. As for your legs, it's as simple as a child drinking milk for me." Youfan said, Okay, you're not a thing. "Liuli, how about you cure my leg quickly?" Liuli Pei said, "Okay, but you have to agree to 3 conditions. The first one is that you want to worship me as your teacher, otherwise why should I cure your legs? Making you worship me is not just about curing your legs, but also about teaching you to become the strongest person. So when you are strong, you need to help me forge my body. That's the second condition. As for the third one, I haven't figured it out yet, so I'll talk about it later." Youfan said, Okay, Liuli, no, master, quickly cure my leg." Liuli said, "You and I merge into one. If you go out of this space, you can wear me on your body. As for your leg injury, the person who attacked you is much stronger than you. In addition, his cultivation techniques are relatively evil, which is why he accumulates on your legs for a long time and cannot disappear. After all, his evil power is not a good thing, but as long as you wear me and use your spiritual power, I can help you remove that power." After releasing the space in the glass, Youfan said, Master, you still have this use. Wearing it on you can still treat you. It's amazing." Liuli said, "Don't talk too much. Quickly activate your spiritual power. If your legs are healed, you still need to kneel down and kowtow to me as your teacher, honing and honing." Yifeng's face was speechless, and 3 horizontal bars appeared on his forehead. He thought to himself, "Isn't that right? I should kneel down and bow to a jade pendant to worship," but he dare not say it. Later, Night Maple activated his spiritual power and found that all the spiritual power transmitted on the jade pendant had changed. Compared to the previous spiritual power, it had become stronger. Those strong spiritual powers began to refine his meridians on him. Suddenly, he found that all his meridians had been developed. Night Maple only knew that there were 32 meridians in the human body, and the more he developed, the better his cultivation talent. He found that he now only had 32 meridians, so he jumped up happily and then found me standing up. Haha. Not long after being happy, Youfan noticed a phantom appearing in front of him. He couldn't see what it looked like, only knowing that the phantom was a woman. He only heard her voice coming, so he knelt down and kowtowed 3 times. Later, Youfan realized that the phantom in front of him was glass. Then he knelt down and said, "Disciple Youfan, pay respects to the master and kowtow 3 more times." Liuli said, "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, good disciple. I will start teaching you how to cultivate from now on. I stayed in your body for a year to see what foundation you, the first genius in Luoyang, practiced. If you continue to practice like this, it will become useless. Now, when you practice your physical body is too useless. I will give you a set of techniques for cultivating your physical body called Eternal Golden Body. This method is one of the techniques you must practice." Then Liuli continued to ask, "What is your weapon? Take it out and let me see." Random Night Maple took out a sword and said, "The weapon I'm using is a sword." Liuli said, "In the future, you will focus on sword and body cultivation, because your physical body must be strong. Whether you use a knife, a gun, or other weapons, you must cultivate your physical body. You are now at the peak of your power cultivation realm. With my help, you can enter the true Qi realm in a month. Defeating the Night Saint's son will be easy. Anyway, your goal now is to cultivate the top 10% Eternal Golden Body within 10 days. Youfan said in confusion, "Why focus so much on the physical body? The physical body is only powerful." Before Youfan could finish speaking, he saw the glass void shadow slapping Yifeng's face and said angrily, "What do you know? The power training realm is about cultivating physical bodies, which are twice as powerful as ordinary mortal bodies. However, this is the only way to achieve it. But the Eternal Golden Body, given to you, you can make your physical body 5 or 6 times stronger than others. If your physical body is strong enough, I just slapped you and it doesn't hurt at all. So, I need to practice my physical body well now, and within 10 days, I must reach the first level. Anyway, I slap you 10 times a day to test your physical body. If you don't cultivate to 10 times in 10 days, I will change the master. If you are too useless, you cannot help me recast my physical body." Youfan rubbed his face and said, "I will start practicing my physical body now." Liuli laughed because Youfan had no idea that Liuli couldn't leave his body for the time being, because she couldn't even leave him with a vague and elusive appearance, threatening Youfan just to make him work hard. At this moment, I saw Yifeng's mind focused on watching Eternal Golden Body. If you have any suggestions, I will make them. Chapter 2. Departure. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, the sound of glass can be heard in Yifeng's ear. Ordinary cultivators cannot resist the use of elixirs and divine herbs to nourish their physical bodies in the training realm, relying solely on their enhanced physical bodies. You, as a small Night family, have never used divine herbs to nourish your physical bodies during your training. Therefore, now you need to fully cultivate the Eternal Golden Body. This way, in the future, you will have the opportunity to fight against the so-called Heavenly Pride in the mainland during battles, and the divine herbs will have the opportunity to meet and think of ways. Liuli patiently said, "Now do as I said, mobilize your whole body's essence, blood, and spiritual power. Melt bone inscriptions on your meridians in the blood night, thereby refining the creation of heaven and earth, nourishing the body. When you reach the highest level of cultivation, your body can reach a maximum of 100,000 pounds. However, the process will be very painful. When melting bone inscriptions, you may die, so you must persevere." Night Maple is not afraid of pain or hardship, and does what Liuli said to show his whole body's spiritual power and then his blood essence. Yifeng's teeth clenched tightly, and his whole body trembled violently as he refined the bone script step by step through the flow of essence and spiritual power in the meridians. At this moment, Youfan felt as if his whole body was being cut inch by a blade. Pain. It's unbearable pain. Time passes by little in an instant. Youfang's eyes opened and his entire facial features twisted into a grimace. Not only that, his whole body was convulsing in waves, and many times he was in pain and wanted to faint. Youfan knew that once he fainted, he might not be able to wake up and had to hold back. So, after about a day, bone inscriptions rang out in Youfang's body one by one, totaling 12 bone inscriptions. In an instant, Youfan collapsed, and the 12 bone inscriptions slowly dispersed from his body. True Qi realm. Liuli saw it silently and said, "It's amazing how quickly you can melt 12 bone texts in just one day. You've already reached the first level of the eternal golden body and achieved perfection. This kid is not bad." He thought it would take 10 days, but he actually completed his cultivation in one day. It seems like he can go out and explore. I don't know how long it was before I heard a clear voice outside the door saying, "Young master, I'm here to bring you food. There's beef you love to eat." Youfang's eyes slowly opened, as if sensing something. He suddenly stood up and said in disbelief, "I have reached the true Qi realm." True Qi realm. At this moment, Youfan felt an airflow flowing inside his body. No, it was not airflow, it was bone script. 12 bone scripts were flowing. At this moment, Youfang's whole body was like a rebirth, and even his previous extreme weakness had disappeared without a trace. At this moment, Liuli's voice rang out. "You have indeed reached the true Qi realm. You have melted 12 bone inscriptions, and the first level of eternal golden body has been completed. Hurry up and have a meal. Next, I will take you to Yenshan Valley to experience. It is said that there is no good thing. Go open the door and let that little girl enter." As soon as Youfan opened the door, Chu seemed to have an incredulous expression on his face and said, "Young master, you can stand up now, your legs are healed." Chu was so excited that he covered his face with both hands. The food was no longer in Chu's hands. Seeing this, Youfan patiently took the food and said, "Be careful, come in and eat together." Chu entered the door, and Youfan placed the dishes on the table. When he saw the phantom of the glass coming out, he asked, "Why are you out? Go back quickly." Liuli impatiently replied, "You and I are one, and no one else can see me except you. Eat some glutinous rice, and after finishing, we'll go to Yenshan Valley." "Why go to Yenshan Valley? I've been there before, there's nothing different." Youfan asked in confusion. The voice of Liuli echoed in Youfang's mind, "You idiot, I've been with you for so many years, and I know more or less about things outside. Do you think the appearance of Yan Shingu inexplicably is ordinary?" Chu saw Youfan eating the food, and his mood was still in disbelief as he stood up for his young master and asked, "Young master, how are your legs really good?" Youfan didn't tell her the reason, but casually said, "I don't know. When I wake up, my legs will heal. Maybe God can't bear me to be lame for a lifetime. You need to keep it a secret and don't tell anyone that my legs are healed. Give them a big surprise in a month." Chu said, "I understand, young master. Then you can eat first, and I'll leave first." After a few hours, Liuli impatiently said, "All right, it's already late at night. Why do you have to go out at night? You're too busy." Youfan replied, "What do you know? You can go out at night without being noticed by others. You can sneak out and come back in a month and make a big splash. At night I saw Youfan randomly jump over a wall and walk towards Yenshan Valley. Along the way, Youfan saw many people, and then he heard others say it is said that this Yenshan Valley was tens of thousands of years ago, and no one knows the specifics. After all, it is a place where a god fell. I also learned about it from a person named Yan Shen in the sect file, but I did not describe it too much. Time is too long, and I also plan to try my luck this time." Youfan did not stay for too long, because he had already understood that Yenshan Valley appeared inexplicably near Los Angeles a year ago, and no one knows how it appeared. Then he asked Liuli, Master, do you know who the person who fell from Yen Shingu is? Liuli replied, I've only seen this Yen god once and I don't remember much. He can be considered the guardian god of your eternal immortal realm, but I'm not sure why he fell. Let's keep going. Youfan was shocked and didn't say anything. He continued walking. The quiet night slipped by quietly, when the next day the sky had just begun to dawn. We are about to reach the outskirts of Yanshan Valley. In the peripheral area of Yanshan Valley, which belongs to the Shen Beast Mountain Range, it is known as the Shen Beast Mountain Range. In the Shen Beast Mountain Range, Shen beasts roam freely and pose a heavy threat. Walking alone in it, one is most vulnerable to attacks from incoming Shen beasts. It's not a problem to deal with second-level and lower-level mysterious beasts with the current strength of Youfan, because he is already in the true Qi realm. At this point Youfan has already arrived at the entrance of Yanshan Valley. For some reason, the last time he came to this entrance, he saw nothing. Now there is already a tavern, and outside the tavern, he can only hear people shouting and constantly calling out to those who want to enter the mountain. Originally, we recruited people to form teams together. Youfan saw that this tavern can be roughly divided into 3 types. One type is a team that has already formed an organization, most of which are in the training realm, and the captain is probably around the peak. The second type is a team composed of temporary people, whose trust and cooperation with each other are far inferior to the first type. The third one is walking alone like Youfan. What is being shouted outside the tavern belongs to the second type. Youfan originally wanted to go and take a look, but a voice came from behind and laughed, Little brother, should we go together? Youfan turned around and saw the woman, who was the same age as Youfan. A stunning and suffocating face was reflected in Youfang's gaze. Her beautiful eyes looked at Youfan, whose color was dull and indescribable. Her skin was like jade, and her crystal-clear face smiled as she looked at Youfan. Youfan endured it, knowing that one should be careful when outside, especially when it comes to beautiful women. He ignored her and continued to move forward. The woman didn't get angry because Youfan ignored her and smiled to herself, saying, Aren't handsome people so tall and cold? Then she walked away. Youfan did not choose to go in with the people from the tavern, but instead listened to Liuli's suggestion and walked alone. In the quiet Yanshan Valley, the forest is dense, and a large team of people can be seen walking quietly. A pair of vigilant eyes constantly patrol the surroundings, tightly holding their own weapons, ready to respond to any unexpected situation at any time. When Youfan first appeared in Yanshingu, he had already come once, so he was not in a hurry to walk in front of this group of people. He didn't want to cause trouble, nor did he want to clear the way for them in front, but slowly followed behind. Liuli, who had been following behind for a long time, said, Go ahead to the left, don't follow them anymore. I feel that the existence level of a bundle of medicinal herbs should not be low. If it is helpful for your physical body, go ahead and use the herbs. Youfan did not refute the left turn, because his last visit could be said to have yielded nothing, and he did not know exactly where Yanshan fell. Anyway, he only knew that this valley was particularly large. Youfan took heavy steps again, as he found the road much more gloomy. He walked cautiously and walked in the direction that Liuli had said. Suddenly something resembling a fireball moves towards the direction of Night Maple. Liuli said, There is an attack, quickly dodge. Night Maple randomly dodged and saw that the attacker was a first order mysterious beast named Red Fire Snake, with the attribute of fire. If hit by his attack, it would leave fire poison. Under attack, Youfan immediately drew his sword and assumed an attacking posture. Youfan was not panicked, as he had gone out to experience battles against first-level mysterious beasts many times before. His legs were limp. Liuli didn't panic at first glance. After all, Youfan had completed the first level of cultivation of the Eternal Golden Body in one day. This first-order mysterious beast, the Red Fire Snake, had no difficulty at all. Youfan knew in his heart that the Red Fire Snake could launch an attack similar to a fireball, and knew that he needed to be close in order to have a chance. He then rushed towards the direction of the red fire snake. Night Maple's movement of the 12 bone texts within his body instantly increased in speed by more than twice. The red fire snake saw Night Maple approaching it and then fired 3 fireballs in a row. Unfortunately, Night Maple's speed was much faster than this level of red fire snake. As they approached, the red fire snake used its tail to attack Youfan. Youfan also wanted to try how powerful his body was now, so he swung a punch. I saw the tail of the red fire snake moving backwards, while the red fire snake retreated several meters. Seeing this, Youfan was also happy in his heart. Now that he no longer needed to use sword moves to defeat the first-level Shen beast with his own body, he could defeat the red fire snake. Youfan wanted to try whether he could kill it without a sword. The red fire snake retreated several meters in a row and became furious, just about to launch its own fireball attack. At this moment, Youfan quickly rushed over and didn't give it a chance to fire a fireball. He punched the red snake's 7-inch mark. It is said to hit the snake 7 inches, and of course, Youfan also knows this weakness. When Youfan punched it 7 inches, the red fire snake also fell to the ground and couldn't stand up. So Youfan picked up his sword and took out the xiandan of the red fire snake. Xiandan could be sold as a way for cultivators to buy cultivation resources or weapons. Youfan said to Liuli, I didn't expect that now my physical body can defeat the red fire snake solely by relying on my physical body. Liuli said, do you think all the flesh bodies are cultivated in white? When you finish practicing all 5 levels of Eternal Golden Body, you will likely find that this immortal realm flesh body is not your opponent. Youfan replied, what kind of martial arts does this eternal golden body belong to? Shen, Huan, Di, Tian, what kind of martial arts does it belong to? Liuli said, ignorance, the heavenly level cultivation is only the highest level cultivation in your eternal immortal domain. There are also levels above the heavenly level, such as God level, King level, and Emperor level. I don't know what level they belong to. Youfan is embarrassed, so Liuli continued, let's move forward. I already feel that the divine medicine is very close, but you need to be careful, usually this kind of thing can pose a threat. Youfan nodded and continued walking, realizing that there were many corpses on the road. He said, it seems that these people died for the sake of divine medicine. What exactly caused their deaths? As Youfan explored forward, he also delved deeper and walked for a while again. In the dense forest, his dim gaze gave a bad feeling. Suddenly, it brightened up and he found himself walking through the forest, appearing in the direction ahead, smelling a fragrance of flowers. I only saw this plant, with light blue flowers blooming faintly. Among the blooming flowers, there were faint white stamens, faintly visible, emitting a faint medicinal fragrance. Liuli exclaimed excitedly, this is a divine habitat flower. Legend has it that this flower can only be seen in the place where the god falls. Your luck is really good. Glancing carefully at this plant, Night Maple prepared to move forward to pick it. Just a few steps away, a voice came in his ear. Youfan had clearly heard of the woman who invited him to join the team at the tavern and said, you're crazy. You've already been targeted by the swallowtail tiger, so why don't you push back? Youfan did not see the mysterious beast in front of him, so he did not believe the woman's words. He continued walking forward, and suddenly a tiger howled in the bamboo forest ahead. Then, a tiger with a tail similar to a swallow appeared in front of Youfan. Rely on for all. This swallowtail tiger has reached the 2nd level of a mysterious beast and is about to enter the 3rd level. It's simply not something Youfan can fight against now. The woman saw Youfan standing still and didn't know if she was scared silly. She shouted loudly, are you scared silly? Run quickly. Youfan heard the sound and immediately ran backwards, running into the forest. Liuli said, there's no need to run. This swallowtail tiger hasn't caught up. It's probably guarding the divine medicine. You must get the divine habitat flower, which will be of great help to you now. Youfan said, I will do my best, but that tiger is not something I can fight against now. After finishing speaking, the woman who had just reminded Youfan came to Youfan and asked, "It's you. How could you be in this place? Have you been following me all this time?" The woman replied arrogantly, "Who has been following you all along, but don't worry, I don't have any bad intentions towards you, so I won't harm you." "I didn't remind you just now, but you don't believe me," he said peelingly. Youfan didn't say anything but asked, "My name is Youfan, what's your name?" The woman answered, "By Chior." Chior said, "It seems that you really want that flower, so do you want to cooperate? Let me help you fight against that tiger. If you get this flower, you will take me to the place where the Yen god falls. I want to get something to save people. How about cooperating?" Youfan asked, "I really want that flower, but how can you be sure that I can definitely find the place where Shen fell?" Chior said, "Then don't worry about it. Will we cooperate or not?" In fact, after meeting at the tavern, Chior did follow Youfan all along. Moreover, Chior had been here more than 10 times but couldn't find the place where Shen had fallen. The reason why she believed that Youfan could find it was because she had been following Youfan all along. Youfan directly found the divine medicine, as if she knew where there was something. So she bet that Youfan could find it. After all, she still had to save people, and time was running out. Youfan didn't believe that she was about to refuse. He heard Liuli's voice and said, "Promise her that Shinchi flower must get it, and that Chior's strength is similar to yours. Even if you can't beat her, you can still run with your body." Youfan thought to himself with a black face, "You underestimate me too much." Then he said, "Okay, Chior, I promise to cooperate with you, but you need to help me get that flower first." Chior playfully said, "Okay, you and I are both in the true Chi realm, so there should be no problem with 2 strikes and 1. Then the two began to discuss tactics, then walked towards the direction of Shinchi flower. Chapter 3. Living Shen. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. "I have a solution now," Chior said mischievously. "Youfan, are you using a sword?" Youfan looked at Chior awkwardly and said, "Yes, my weapon is a sword." Chior said happily, "So, Youfan, I'll entangle the big tiger later. How about giving the big tiger a fatal sword when you see the opportunity?" Youfan said, "Do you believe in me so much? Aren't you afraid that I'll give you a sword behind my back?" Chior said seriously, "I can tell by your appearance that you are a good person, so you won't harm me behind my back, will you?" After finishing these words, Chior ran straight towards the direction of the big tiger and shouted, "How about the big tiger letting me touch my head? Don't be angry." Before Chior could finish speaking, she saw the swallowtail tiger and rushed over with a loud cry. Chior immediately took out her weapon, which was a curved sword resembling a ring. Chior's moves were cold, arrogant, and sharp, with a sharp edge like cold ice, completely lacking the playful and cute appearance she had before. Youfan hid on the side, only seeing the strange weapon and a few cold rays flying towards the swallowtail tiger. The spot where the flying sword pierced the body of the swallowtail tiger froze. Chior said, "How's the big tiger? It's not good, right?" The swallowtail tiger didn't care at all and shook directly. The frozen area on its body shattered, with only a few sword marks. Chior's face was incredulous and she said, "So strong." Chior. The swallowtail tiger was angered by Chior's sword light and made 2 strokes to grab Chior. Chior immediately blocked her and was then shaken back a few steps. After all, her physical body was not as powerful as Night Maple. "I haven't adjusted it yet," but the swallowtail tiger rushed past again fiercely. Youfan saw it nearby and thought to himself, "You can't wait anymore. Chior can't hold on alone anymore. That tiger will soon step into the 3rd level, comparable to a strong opponent in the authentic realm." Chior was just about to chop towards the swallowtail tiger when she saw Youfan coming out from the side. Broken Star. Broken Star is a sword move learned at the Night House. Youfan stabbed the swallowtail tiger in the eye with a sword, and as he drew the sword, blood flowed out like a crescent moon. The swallowtail tiger was in pain and roared loudly. It was obvious that Yifeng's blow was not fatal. The swallowtail tiger was furious and attacked Yifeng with one claw. Yifeng did not retreat, he punched the tiger's paw directly, and the tiger took a few steps back. Chior was shocked and secretly said, "Is this guy so physically strong?" Before Chior could finish speaking, Yifeng rushed towards the swallowtail tiger with a sword. "Shout out, cord back!" Yifeng, in his hand, could only see the sword roaring, with sword energy spanning all directions. With one sword, it flew down from the sky and cut off the tail of the swallowtail tiger. Seeing that the swallowtail tiger was injured, Chior immediately beheaded it. Ice slash. A few cold rays flew towards the swallowtail tiger, and it fell to the ground, howling and immediately stabbing its head with a sword. Chior was still taking the xiandan of the swallowtail tiger when Yifeng's voice came. "I have given you this xiandan of the swallowtail tiger. Taking it will be much better for your physical body." Chior didn't hesitate to take it directly. Yifeng walked towards the divine habitat flower and had already picked it. Evening, two figures appeared faintly under the faint moonlight. Roasting tiger meat on the fire. Chior said, "It's ripe now. I'll give you the big one and give you the small one. Eat it quickly. You can't stay for long." In such places, Shen beasts are terrifying, and people are even more terrifying than Shen beasts. Yifeng said while eating, "Are you talking about yourself? By the way, what's your weapon called? It's the first time I've seen a curved sword." Chior said, "Oh, what my master gave me back then was called the Star Moon Ring." "Don't worry, Yifeng. As long as you are willing to give me your back, I won't harm you." Yifeng didn't say anything, just focused on burying his head and eating fiercely. Half an hour later the two of them finished eating and were ready to continue their journey. Liuli said, "Do you really believe her?" Yifeng said, "I don't completely believe it." "Where should we go now?" Liuli said, "Let's move forward. I can feel a slight difference in the atmosphere ahead." The two of them walked in the quiet and dark dense forest, with a faint chill lingering around Shen. The silence was terrifying, with only the faint footsteps of the two. The dark environment around her made Chior involuntarily embrace each other and look at Yifeng walking ahead, accelerating her own pace. After walking in such a quiet atmosphere for more than 20 minutes, just as Autumn couldn't bear the madness of this silence, Yifeng in front of her suddenly stopped walking. "Ah! My body collided with Yifeng's back in the end." Chior took a step back with a blushing face and angrily said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you leaving?" Yifeng was speechless and coughed dry, pointing to the black stone gate in front of him and saying, "There's no way out." As soon as he finished speaking, he asked Liuli again, "What's inside this stone gate? Why is there no way out? Is it the place where Shen fell?" Liuli said, "There are indeed some treasures inside but I don't know anything about them, but I'm sure it's not the place where Shen fell. There may be some connection between it and the place where he fell." After hearing the sound of Liuli disappear, Yifeng saw that Chior had already swung open the stone gate with a sword, so he said, "Why are you standing there foolishly? Is it my beauty that attracts you, Mississippi?" Yifeng interrupted Chior and said, "You're so beautiful. You're like that fairy. Come on in." Upon hearing this, Liuli felt speechless in her heart, winky face. The two of them walked into the stone gate and realized that the space inside was really large, a huge stone chamber, which looked somewhat simple and spacious, completely lacking the appearance of treasures. The walls are inlaid with fluorescent stones, which have faded into darkness. For tens of thousands of years, these fluorescent stones could not have persisted for so long in Shengu. I saw a sword inserted in the middle of the stone chamber, which looked very ordinary and even rusted. Yifeng didn't pull his sword forward, so he only looked at the wall, which looked like a painting, and saw a man. Liuli said, "This man is holding a sword in his hand, dressed in golden battle armor, with a towering figure and long black hair. He floats up in the sky, exuding the majesty of an emperor. His aura is awe-inspiring, as if an emperor had personally descended from the world. There were 8 other people next to this man, just like the divine king who had descended, only slightly inferior to the middle. Youfan said, "Is this person in the middle the Yen god?" Liuli said, "I don't know." Youfan was still secretly exploring the wall when an impatient voice rang out. "Hey, come over and help me draw my sword. I can't pull it. No matter how hard I try or how hard I chop, it won't move at all. This rusty sword is so heavy." Youfan walked over. "Isn't this the sword held by the man on the wall?" Hearing Yifeng's words, Chiu ran to the wall to observe, and said, "Really, except for rust, everything is the same shape. Who is this man? Why does Youfan ignore me?" After Chiu finished speaking, she turned around and was shocked. So she said, "Isn't that right, Youfan? Why did you pull out this broken sword? This sword is so heavy, and I have swung a few swords. This broken sword is not at all bad. Is it a peerless divine sword? Yen Shen's sword. Can you pull it out? Are you Yen Shen?" Chiu exclaimed excitedly, "Is Yen Shen still alive? Didn't Yen Shen fall? Reincarnation." Chiu was already extremely excited in her heart, because the sword held by the man in the painting on the wall was the one held by Youfan. Youfan said, "As for how excited you are, I don't know why I could pull out this sword, but I just pulled it out easily." But Youfan didn't feel that this sword was different, even though it was very old and completely different from the sword held by the man in the painting. Chiu is still excited and immersed in the Yen god of night maple in the world. Chiu. For all. Youfan was still struggling about what was different about this sword when there were hurried footsteps coming from it. Liuli said, "Someone is here." Youfan immediately said to Chiu, "Someone has arrived." Chiu saw Yifeng's gaze flicker slightly with a cold light on her and asked, "Are you doubting me? If I want to harm you, you have died several times already." Youfan looked at Chiu and said coldly, "They're coming in," as if she wasn't pretending. "Only listen to the leader's voice. Thank you both for leading the way." Chapter 4. Fusang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank you both very much, ha ha ha. At the stone gate, 3 figures slowly entered through the door. The leader's greedy gaze swept over Chiu and couldn't help but smile, saying, "Sorry to bother you both." Chiu remembered the man in front of her and angrily said, "Qingjiu, it turns out to be you, this despicable little person." Youfan muttered softly, "Do you know this person?" I heard Chiu say angrily, "Yes, I don't just know each other. 3 months ago, he invited me to team up and go to Yenshan Valley together. His courage grew strong, and he couldn't get me, so he could only destroy me. That's why this villain almost killed me. Night Maple == alright, Chiu, baby. Brother didn't mean to do it. It's just that you're too good. Looking. Brother couldn't help but say this, and Qingjiu proudly said, "Kid, what treasure have you obtained? Hand it over. How about I spare your life? Is the treasure quite large? Please spare my life. Your Excellency, the lion may speak loudly. Your strength may not be higher than mine, right?" Youfan took out his pants and replied without hesitation. Qingjiu arrogantly said, "You two are in the true Qi realm, and the 3 of us are at the peak of the true Qi realm and the power practice realm. Besides, in the middle of my true Qi realm, is it also a lion's big mouth?" Without waiting for Qingjiu to finish speaking, Youfan immediately whispered to Chiu, "How about you hit a true Qi realm and leave 2 people, including Qingjiu, to me?" Chiu only answered one word, "John." He believes in Youfan, or perhaps he is unhappy with Qingjiu and seeks revenge for the last time. Qingjiu didn't expect that Youfan quickly rushed towards him with a cold expression, but he was incredibly firm. Youfan chopped towards Qingjiu and the 2 people next to him. Chiu looked at one of the people and said, "Your opponent is me, look at the sword. Young lady, you're a bit too reckless." Let me see if your strength is as arrogant as your mouth, said Qingjio's subordinate. Qingjodao said, Kid, 1-2, let's see if Grandpa beats you or not. As Qingjio swung his big sword back towards Yifeng's sword, it was a battle between swords. Even when they were evenly matched, the subordinate immediately swung his sword towards Yifeng. Unfortunately, Yifeng only took a few steps back. Qingjio smiled and said, You're a bit at odds with me, kid. Yifeng clenched his sword in his hand and prepared to cut it off. He heard Liuli's voice say, First, deal with that subordinate, and then he can practice his Qi realm. After solving it, you can use 12 bone inscriptions to enhance your combat power against Qingjio. Yifeng also listened to Liuli's suggestion, a sword. Broken star. The subordinate said, Save my big brother. Late, with a sword strike, only a head flew out in an instant. Qingjio roared angrily, Kid, look at the knife recklessly. Yifeng was too lazy to say anything more. He took a step expressionless and a sword aura flew down from him. Yifeng pointed his long sword directly at Qingjio and said, I have no intention of fighting. The voice fell, and the other person suddenly disappeared. In the next moment, a sword light suddenly struck Qingjio's head fiercely. Cord back. Below, Qingjio's eyes widened slightly. In his eyes, a beam of sword light flashed by. In the next moment, he stepped on his right foot and struck the sword with a knife. Bang! A loud explosion sounded like thunder, and the two figures retreated several feet away. After stopping, Yifeng suddenly held a long sword and pointed it at Qingjio. The next moment, countless Dao sword lights suddenly pierced from Qingjio. Broken star. Seeing these countless sword lights, Qingjio frowned slightly, and with a wave of his right hand, all the countless sword energies disappeared. Qingjio stared at Yifeng with a fierce expression and said, Young man, your strength is not bad, but unfortunately, you have just started. 8 Wilderness Slash. With Qingjio's shout, a 3-zhang long blade appeared and solidly cleaved towards Night Maple. At this moment, the sword in Yifeng's hand had already shattered, and the person had flown out. His sword level was too low, and he had been decadent for a year, so he had not even searched for a good weapon. He heard Liuli say, Fortunately, if you were practicing Eternal Golden Body, it wouldn't be a simple sword fracture. His sword is truly yellow-level martial arts, and with your broken sword, it's impossible to stop it. You can only use that rusty sword. Yifeng stood up and picked up the rusty sword. Qingjio smiled and said, Kid, I have broken your good sword. What can I do with this rusty sword? War. As he spoke, Yifeng lifted the rust sword and activated the 12 bone inscriptions in his body. These 12 bone inscriptions actually headed towards the rust sword, and in an instant, the rusted sword became spotless. He launched a flash of sword light, and Yifeng immediately chopped towards Qingjio. Click suddenly, the big knife shattered. Puff. Then, Qingjio spat out a mouthful of blood, and with this sword, without any moves, he only chopped his sword. However, his big sword had already broken and he himself was seriously injured. Qingjodao said, What kind of sword are you? One sword has shattered my Xuanjie weapon. Yifeng disdainfully replied, It's just a broken sword, isn't that what you said? Qingjiogan was about to say something, and in an instant, his eyes were already stunned. Broken star. I only saw a bloody head on the ground. Yifeng fiercely stepped on the head, causing it to shatter with a loud bang. Then, 50 gold coins, 10 xianshi, and 5 first-order xianbeast xiandan were found on the body, which was not a small sum of money. Amazing. At this moment, a beautiful figure walked towards Yifeng. Yifeng said, Have you solved it? Qiu'er said, All right, let's go and leave this place, otherwise someone else will come. The two of them walked out of the stone chamber. The rusty sword in Yifeng's hand was already shining brightly, emitting waves of contention as if pointing the way. Liuli saw and said, Youfan follows the guidance of this sword, maybe it can help us find the place where Shen fell. 1 hour later subsequently, under the guidance of the sword, the two of them also walked to the cliff. As soon as they got out of the cliff, the sword was no longer excited and just nodded in front of the cliff like a child. Liuli saw the situation and said, go over and see what's going on. Night Maple walked to the cliff and only saw the undulating mountains below, walking like a giant dragon perching on the earth. The clouds and mist in the mountains were like the breath of a giant dragon, slowly rising. The peaceful lake lay among the mountains, and the water was as calm as a mirror, reflecting the surrounding mountains like a natural painting. Chiu'er looked at Youfan in confusion and said, can you really find the place of falling with your sword? There's no way ahead of this cliff. You can't jump off, can you? We can't fly yet. Youfan said, let's take a look first. Then he asked Liuli again, what should Liuli do now? There is no way ahead. Liuli said, I remember when you were using your bone script, the sword was like a new life. Use your bone script to move the sword and try your luck. If you can't do it, you can only jump off. Later, Youfan asked Chiu'er to lean back a bit and move the bone script onto the sword. A dazzling light burst out immediately, even Chiu'er, who had stepped back a few dozen steps, was dazzling. The light lasted for a while, and the two of them opened their eyes. A halo appeared on the cliff. This kind of change not only surprised the two, but also completely activated the spiritual power in their bodies. If there were any unexpected situations, corresponding countermeasures would be taken immediately. Liuli said, don't be so nervous. There's not much danger outside this aperture. I can see a space inside. The person who can create space must be Shen. Then he said, go in and take a look. Youfan said, this aperture should be the place where Shen fell, but I don't know what's going on inside. Chiu'er said, no matter what the situation is, I must get the Fusang fruit. Master, time is running out. What is Fusang fruit? What do you want Fusang fruit to do? How do you know there is Fusang fruit? Youfan asked Chiu'er said, I have read some records in the sect's archives that the Fusang fruit is nurtured by the Fusang divine tree. This tree only nurtures one fruit for 10,000 years. It has been convinced that the Fusang fruit can not only resist all the poisonous substances in the world, but also have the function of prolonging life. The archives are too old and only record these. The master was framed and deeply trapped in the poisonous substance, and he needs to be saved by the Fusang fruit. Then I only heard Chiu'er say, I'll go first. Youfan was about to say something when he saw Chiu'er enter first, and then immediately Youfan walked into the aperture and said, this place is also very beautiful. The spiritual energy is really comfortable. If you practice here, you will definitely achieve twice the result with half the effort. Liuli said, indeed, it is the stroke of God. This space was created separately in the Shen Valley. Simply put, it is the space within the space. Only God can achieve this. The reason why the spiritual energy makes you feel comfortable is undoubtedly the reason for the Fusang divine tree. Chapter 5. Spring, Summer, Autumn, and Winter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The mountain wind blows, the trees sway, making waves like sounds, mixed with the chirping of birds and insects, harmonizing with each other. Looking up at the sky, one can see the blue sky and white clouds shining against the peaks, which is breathtaking. Youfan arrived in this space without seeing Chiu'er, and then shouted a few times, Chiu'er. 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 Liuli said, no need to shout. She should be looking for her Fusang fruit now. Walk ahead and take a look. Youfan walked into a lush forest and walked along the path next to the wild grass, gradually entering the depths of the forest. A faint voice came from his ear and said, you're here. Did you hear anything, Liuli? There's a voice calling me, Youfan said. Liuli said, no, there's no sound. The sword has responded. Follow the sword. Youfan whispered to himself, didn't you? Did you have hallucinations? Jian seemed to be telling Youfan to continue moving forward, and Youfan was not a fool either. He could see clearly and set off all the way under the guidance. 1 hour later. Under the guidance of his sword, Youfan arrived at a palace. The palace was very vast, reaching a height of about 100 meters, more than twice its length. Many ancient patterns were carved on the stone walls of the palace, gradually revealing the outline of an ancient stone gate. Bang! Night maple punched the surface of the stone gate, and those ancient patterns immediately emitted a faint golden light, blocking Night Maple's attack. An ancient and surging force came from the tree stump, giving people the feeling of recording endless secrets. Youfan was extremely shocked and said, "Is this the place where Shen fell inside?" Shen, Youfan doesn't know much about it. He only knows that Shen was the guardian of the Yonghe immortal domain 10,000 years ago. Youfan took out his sword again and heard his voice say, "Finally, you're here. Come in." Then I saw the stone gate slowly open, and inside was not only the place where the god of Yen had fallen, but even after such a long time had passed, it still emitted such a strong spiritual energy. In the spiritual energy, there seemed to be a higher level atmosphere. Youfan was extremely shocked. In the palace, the more one relies on the inner spiritual energy, the richer it becomes. As Youfan stepped down on the stone slab under his feet, he found that it was like a world, one world after another, extending all the way. It took him an unknown amount of time to reach the center of the palace. At the center of the palace, there was an ice coffin, and a cold and domineering aura surged out of it, which surprised Youfan. The ice coffin was crystal clear and transparent. He saw a woman lying inside, dressed in a blue shirt with long hair, slender legs, a tall figure with beautiful curves, and a slender willow waist, giving a feeling of tenderness like water. However, Youfan couldn't see the woman's face clearly and was very depressed. A white phantom appeared in front of the ice coffin. White Shadow said, "What's your name?" Youfan said, "Youfan, who are you?" The white void shadow said, "I am just a residual shadow. Don't be nervous, I can only exist independently in the world in the way I am now. I should be the Yen god in your human mouth. I can't remember too much anymore. After too long, the memory of this void shadow has disappeared too much, and even this void shadow is about to disappear." Youfan said, "So Shen is a woman. Are you calling me?" Shendao said, "What about men and women, and what about gods and people? In the end, they will all be lost. Their souls will return to the yellow earth and disappear into the years. Yes, I am calling you." Shen said again, "I didn't expect that you still have the aura of glass and the birth of spiritual intelligence." The virtual shadow of the glass appears, different from the virtual shadow of the Yen god. The virtual shadow of the Yen god is already blurry, as the Yen god said, the virtual shadow is also about to disappear. However, the shadow of the glass is faintly visible, but it is good to be able to see it clearly. Liuli said, "Shen, do you know me? I seem to have only seen you once, and after that time, I can't even remember you as a woman." Shendao said, "Of course I know you. Your name is Liuli Qinglian Pei. Is this Night Maple your new owner?" Liuli said in disbelief, "What master? He is my disciple, and I am his master." Youfan immediately said, "Senior Shen, why do you keep calling me?" "No, the one calling out is to pull out the sword for you. This sword is nurtured by the chaotic energy and can be said to be one of the strongest weapons in the world. It allows you to be the master. But the sword spirit has disappeared for hundreds of thousands of years and has lost its former charm. Now not only is there no sword spirit, but the sword body has also weakened a lot. To restore its former charm, it needs to not only devour the sword, but also feed it with all the divine materials in the world. Why do you let me be the master? What is the name of this sword?" Youfan wanted to continue asking, but Shen interrupted him and said, "I don't know why I chose you. Since the sword chose you as the master, you can choose a name. Although the sword has lost its spirit, there is still a trace of spiritual wisdom left to guide you here and dissipate from the sky and earth. If you want to summon the sword spirit to find the earth god, there should be a way. Before that, you need to give the sword enough nourishment to restore its body. You also have enough to become strong yourself. This sword is now called the moment. Night Maple Road. You are too weak now. After my body fell, there was a divine pill and I became famous with my unique skill spring, summer, autumn, and winter. This sword technique has now been handed over to you. Let's learn from it here. Not only is there a strong spiritual energy in this palace, but there is even a hint of my divine energy that can help you understand. This swordsmanship consists of 4 stages. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Feel the different atmospheres of these 4 stages. Spring represents life and hope, summer represents prosperity and strength, autumn represents sadness and defeat, and winter represents calmness and death. Although this swordsmanship has 4 stages, there is a hidden 5th stage. Apart from the 5th stage that I have comprehended, no one can comprehend this swordsmanship to this day, so slowly you can comprehend it. Alright, let's slowly understand. Taking this divine pill will be helpful for both you and Liuli. After all, both of you will prosper and suffer. You will find out what will be most useful in the future. I need to go rest now. I saw the white phantom return to the ice coffin. Liuli said, take that divine pill quickly, and then run the bone script. Youfan immediately took it down. Under the urging of the 12 bone inscriptions, the divine pill was melted away, and his aura spread throughout his body. Suddenly, a severe pain hit Youfang's body, and cracks began to appear. A strand of blood emerged from the cracks. In the blink of an eye, Youfang's body was coated with a layer of crimson blood, which looked extremely terrifying. Youfan opened his mouth slightly in pain and said, why hasn't anyone told me that I still have this reaction after taking the divine pill? Glass. *O Shen. *O**** in the pitch-black palace, the divine light of the golden divine pill shone fiercely, illuminating the palace. In the blink of an eye, the golden divine light expanded the volume of Night Maple's body by nearly 100 times. Youfang's breathing was slightly rapid, with sweat covering his forehead and flowing down his cheeks. Liuli's slightly unreal body, with a solemn gaze fixed on Youfang's body, quickly said in her mouth, hold on, success or failure lies in this one move, Youfan. Half an hour perhaps upon hearing Liuli's words, Youfang's pitch-black eyes slowly opened, reflecting the strange golden light of the divine pill. The cracks in his body quickly fused. At this moment, Liuli nodded with a smile on her face. Not only Liuli, but also the Yen god in the ice coffin felt a little relieved. He didn't expect this kid in the true Qi realm to suppress the divine power of the divine pill. Liuli said, it's great, Youfan. You've persevered, it's great. Youfan looked at Liuli, and the virtual shadow of Liuli was no longer faintly visible, even feeling like it was about to become a physical entity. Thanks to your persistence, I was able to become like this, so the stronger you are, the better you treat me. Youfan was pleasantly surprised and said, this divine pill has allowed me to directly break through to the peak of the true Qi realm, and the 12 bone inscriptions have already condensed out 8, already 20. Don't be happy, quickly comprehend, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. We have been here for a week now, and you still have half a month. We will be returning to the night house then. Upon hearing Liuli's words, Youfan secretly thought to himself, feeling that understanding, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, has more tricks and a better chance of winning. We cannot lose Chu. Although we have no blood relationship and have always been considered servants in the Yi family, Chu has always been my sister in my heart, and we must defeat Yi Zisheng. Subsequently, the spring, summer, autumn, and winter, taught by Yan Shen emerged in the soul of Youfan. Chapter 6. Life and Hope. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter represent the 4 seasons of the year, representing time, and can also be called the sword of time. And among them, spring is the first type of spring sword. What is spring? Spring is usually the beginning of the year, representing a season of vitality and hope. In spring, the earth awakens, all things revive, new shoots are tender green, and flowers compete for a new beginning in the rebirth of life. I saw that Youfang's soul had unknowingly entered the spatial world of this swordsmanship. This world is already spring. Night Maple, walking along the mountain road, felt the mountain wind blowing in his face. The winding branches of the trees along the road were intertwined, and the greenery was everywhere. The air was filled with the fragrance of grass and trees and the fragrance of soil, and the chirping of insects kept coming one after another, which was pleasant. As he walked on, he saw a family in the space. For some reason, there was a family with 5 people. The middle-aged lady was washing clothes in the yard, and the tall and sturdy man seemed to be repairing a chimney on the roof. I only heard a voice that was extremely sweet and full of curiosity, and asked, "Grandparents, it's already March. Should we go to the field to sow?" Grandma kindly replied, "Yes, Xiaoxue, it's time to pack up and go to the ground." After the family finished tidying up, they walked out of the door and towards the ground together. They saw a man in his 30s carrying 3 hoes and holding grass in his mouth, staring at him. The middle-aged woman had a basket of seeds in one hand, which seemed to be fast, and a few cakes and water bottles in the other hand. Grandparents held hands, and of course, there was a little girl in the middle, about 2 or 3 years old. Grandmother hummed nursery rhymes, and the little girl listened to her with a smile on her face, innocent and naive. Youfan looked at this group of people like this, very envious of the family reunion. In Youfang's impression, his parents were very vague, with no impression at all, and he had never seen his grandparents. The only one who had been with him from childhood to adulthood was Chu Chu. Youfan didn't stop, just kept walking, and then he said, "Liuli, how can you learn this swordsmanship in this world?" No one responded. "Have you been isolated?" He couldn't feel the glass anymore. He wanted to summon for an instant, but there was no response. It seemed like he was really isolated. Youfan awkwardly scratched his head and looked up to see a woman dancing a sword on the mountain. The woman lifted her right foot and the sword in her hand randomly slashed forward, appearing gentle but not aggressive. Youfan looked for half an hour, but in the blink of an eye, the woman was no longer on the mountain, so he quickly ran towards the mountain. When he fell up the mountain, he found himself panting heavily and his spiritual power was completely depleted. He gasped for breath like a mortal and ran to the place where the woman was dancing, only to see a wooden sword on the ground. He picked up the wooden sword and looked towards the direction where the woman was dancing and stabbing. There were already several deep sword marks on the big stone, and as long as the woman wanted the big stone to break, she was just adding a few more swords. Youfan was shocked. He picked up his wooden sword and then. Broken star. Cord back. There was no change at all, and even the flowers and plants on the ground remained motionless. Then he immediately stopped and couldn't see these flowers and plants looking at him smugly, as if saying, "You're far from following her, hee." Youfan found that without spiritual power, his swordsmanship could not be fully utilized. How powerful is a sword-dancing woman? In this world, spiritual power is isolated, and holding a wooden sword can leave stone sword marks. So he danced randomly according to the swordsmanship of the woman in his memory, and found that this swordsmanship was very wonderful. The fatigue of just climbing the mountain disappeared completely, but unfortunately he didn't remember everything. Just follow the sword moves in front of this woman as I remember. Until an hour later he chose to go down the mountain and saw the little girl waving her hand to greet him, so Youfan immediately went over. He had stood too far before and didn't notice that he was getting closer. He found that the little girl had an impression in his mind, but he couldn't remember it clearly. The little girl stuttered and said, "Big brother, can you help my dad? He sprained his foot while hoeing the field." The little girl opened her black and big eyes, with teardrops in their sockets. She held them tightly together and looked at Youfan. Youfan picked her up and whispered softly, "Little sister. What's your name?" "Yen Ruoshue." Youfan said, "Ruoshue, let's go. Here it is, big brother." I saw the man limping and still hoeing, so he walked over and said, "Brother, give it to me and I'll help you." The man didn't show any courtesy to Youfan, who was about 20 years younger than him. He laughed heartily and said, "Thank you, little brother. I don't know how to address him." "Night Maple." The man heard him take out a kettle from the basket and handed it to Youfan, saying, "Brother Yi, my name is Yen Hongwen and I'm a rough guy. This is for you, brother Yi, to quench your thirst." Youfan casually took it and opened the kettle, pouring it into his mouth. Puff. "This is wine, so spicy. Is this the first time brother Yi has been drinking?" "Ha ha ha, it's my carelessness. Blame me, Ruoshue, bring some water quickly." The little girl smiled and handed the water to Youfan. Youfan is really drinking for the first time. It's already 15, but he has never drunk alcohol before. He just poured it too quickly and didn't even feel the aroma of the wine. "Thank you, little sister." Youfan rinsed her mouth and took a few more sips of water, so she started hoeing with the man's wife and father. Youfan was hoeing in front, and when he turned around, he saw the little girl throwing seeds. On the side, Grandma kindly said, "My granddaughter, you can't throw seeds like this." "How should we throw it? I'm all learning from my grandmother. Isn't she throwing seeds behind my mother and grandfather? I just threw it behind my brother." Seeing the girl's mother smiling and not speaking, her grandmother kindly said, "But you threw it too densely. If it's too dense, it won't grow anymore. Come and see what grandma threw." Oh, so the little girl turned back and readjusted on her way of throwing seeds, and Youfan smiled as she watched. A few hours the man's wife said, "That's all for today. There will probably be about one more day tomorrow." So Youfan helped them tidy up, and just as they were about to leave, he heard the man's wife say, "Brother Yi, come to our house for dinner. How about that? It's a thank you." Seeing Youfan hesitating, the little girl grabbed Yifeng's hand and walked away, so she happily said, "Oh, thank you, big brother. Let's go quickly." "Okay." Youfan and his family set off for home. On the way, they saw the little girl staring at him all the time, so Youfan saw that her legs had been rather crooked. Youfan thought to himself that this sister must be tired from walking, so he picked her up. The little girl hung her hands around Yifeng's neck in his arms, so she slowly leaned her head towards his ear and whispered, "Big brother, how do you know I'm tired and want you to hug me? Is there really a mind-reading technique in the world?" Youfan smiled but remained silent without answering. Arrived at home, Youfan saw Yan's wife busy cooking meals. In just over 20 minutes, a simple table of dishes was ready. Youfan saw that the simple dishes on the table were different from what he usually eats at the night house. At the night house, he eats more meat and less vegetables, and every time he eats a lot of food, he throws it away if he can't eat it. However, the dishes on the table in front of him are not as many as before, and there are more vegetables and less meat. Youfan didn't mind. Sitting next to the little girl, she kept serving him vegetables. In just a few breaths, Yifeng's bowl was already full. Then Yen de Gu said, "Yen Ruoshue, you dead girl, you never served your father vegetables." I saw the little girl giggling, and Brother Yen said again, "Brother Yi, you're not a local, are you? Where did you come from?" "Brother Yen, I am indeed not a local, my home is far away." Brother Yen immediately interrupted, "Do you have a place to stay that night? If you don't mind, why don't you sleep with brother?" "Okay," Youfan said without any guests. After finishing her meal, it was already evening when the little girl pulled Youfan to the courtyard and said, "Big brother, the moon is so big today, and there are also many stars. Yes, there are many stars, Youfan said as he had never seen the night sky so quietly before, feeling calm and at ease. The two of them finished looking at the night sky, so they both went back to their houses and went to sleep. The next morning Youfan was awakened by the crowing of chickens, so he yawned and went out to stretch lazily. It was fortunate that he didn't stretch and saw a woman dancing a sword on the mountain. He stood still, afraid of falling behind a few swords. After the woman finished dancing, she disappeared. So he ran up the mountain again and found that the stone from yesterday had already broken, and there were more than one. So he started practicing the woman's swordsmanship while climbing the mountain, and this time he remembered all of it. Half an hour later. Night Maple, sweating profusely, was about to leave when he noticed water droplets on the leaves of some flowers and plants. Dew. He was amazed when he saw dew for the first time. Is this a symbol of life? So he went down the mountain and returned to Brother Yan's house, because he promised Brother Yan that there would be one more day left for farming. On the way, he asked, Brother Yan, does dew only exist in spring? Brother Yan said, it's not that there is only dew in spring, but there is also dew in summer. However, there is relatively little dew in summer, and it can even be said that there is no dew. The most dew in spring is because as winter ends and the temperature rises in spring, water droplets slowly begin to form at night, which is the dew seen during the day. Then he said, spring represents the beginning of life for all new sprouts, just like the dew you see, only spring can give birth to more dew. Later, Sister Xia said, this is hope. Sister Xia is the wife of Brother Yan. Another day will come. Giggle in the morning, the rooster was crowing again, and Youfan knew that the woman must be dancing with her sword. Then he went out to look towards the direction of the mountain, and the woman had indeed danced with her sword. Later, he also started dancing with his sword in place. What he didn't know was that the woman looked at him, nodded, and then continued to dance with her sword. Another day has passed before the chicken could crow. He had already walked up the mountain and planned to wait for the woman to arrive in advance. On the mountain, he walked toward some flowers and plants, watching their leaves slowly condensing water droplets. The last time he saw dew, he did not see the process of its formation. He was completely engrossed in his gaze, only hearing the voice of a woman behind him say, this is life, and also hope. Then the woman continued to dance her sword again, and Youfan continued to learn beside her. After the dance, the woman disappeared inexplicably, and he couldn't even see what the woman looked like. So I went down the mountain the next day before the rooster crowed again. He woke up. This time, he brought a kettle and walked up the mountain. This time, he picked up the dew and drank it. The woman appeared again, and he danced swords together next to him. It lasted for about a month like this. Youfan, as usual, set off towards the mountain with a kettle and a wooden sword, then picked up the dew and drank it. The woman said, you have been practicing for a month now. Let's have a sparring, how about it? Youfan was amazed and secretly thought to himself that this was the second time this woman had spoken to me. Is time so fast? Has it been a month? No, I have to go out. The woman said, the velocity of the space here is different from the outside world, you don't need to rush. Okay. Youfan picked up his wooden sword and practiced it these days. He also wanted to try his combat power without spiritual power. The woman rushed towards Youfan and swung her sword down, bang. Youfan swung his sword to block it and retreated a few meters. His arms were in great pain, and he realized that his cultivation of the eternal golden body no longer existed. He was just an ordinary person in this world. The woman in front of him was much stronger than him, and before Youfan could react, her wooden sword swung two more sword energies. Youfan quickly dodged one, and the second hit Youfan, causing him immense chest pain. The woman's aura did not weaken at all, and she let out a cold snort. The wooden sword in her hand danced, and the sword light flickered. Dozens of sword chi appeared in front of Youfan. Youfan closed his eyes and felt the process of life. He thought of the fragrance of flowers on the road when he first came to this world, the process of farming with Yan's family, and the waiting for dewdrops to form in the early morning. So he opened his eyes and shouted loudly. The withered wood brings spring. So he held his sword tightly and quickly swept through the air, shooting a sword light from his wooden sword, shattering dozens of sword auras in front of him. When he was silent and happy after smashing dozens of sword chi in front of him, he noticed a sword chi rushing towards him, more accurately, the small grass next to him. So he didn't have time to block it with his sword, and then lay down in front of the small grass, blocking the blow with his back. No pain. This sword doesn't hurt, Youfan thought to himself. The woman praised Su and said, "It seems that you have understood what life is. Tell me what hope is and what life is." Youfan said, "The wind blowing towards me, the grass shaking my head, the fragrance of flowers swaying towards me, the fragrance of the soil on the road, the dew condensed at night. I personally sowed the seeds in the soil, it is the grass I protected. This is all hope. These breaths that come towards me are life, the revival of all things." The woman nodded and said, "Great. You can leave this space now. What is the name of your sword?" Youfan said, "It's not a sword, it's life. I call it withered wood in spring." The woman replied, "You can leave on your own. What about the following equations? When the opportunity arises, it will come in," the woman replied. After descending the mountain after bidding farewell to Youfan and Yen de Gu, Xia de Jia, the little girl cried and said, "Woo woo. Big brother, will you still come to see me?" Yifeng's inexplicable heartache. This feeling has only appeared in she. Yes. Goodbye, big brother. Goodbye. Youfan opened his eyes and found Liuli right in front of him. Then Liuli said, "Hee, I thought you were dead. It's been half a month already." Youfan still thought in his heart that he had been inside for almost a month and wanted to go out early to return to Ye's home. Then he said, "Half a month. I've been inside for almost a month." Liuli said, "It seems that the flow rate of time is different. It's time to go out." At this moment, Yen Shinshu's shadow had already appeared and said, "Great Youfan, you have learned the first move. You can leave now. When the senior leaves, I would like to ask a few questions about my doubts." Yen Shindao said, "Okay, let's ask. I want to know if there is a painting in the stone chamber before the moment of the moment. Who is a man and was he the first owner of the moment? How did you fall, Yen Shen? How should I search for the god of the earth?" Yen Shen replied, "I can't remember which man, I only know he is very powerful. In my current memory, I never recognized you as the first master. As for how I fell, I have forgotten where the god of the earth is. I don't remember." After speaking, Yen Shen added, "Let's leave." Seeing that Yen Shen had already issued an order to expel guests, Youfan couldn't ask anything and turned around to walk towards the door exit. Why is Liuli unable to leave? Youfan saw him standing still. Obviously, I didn't hear what Yen Shen said just now. Here you are, why are you in a hurry? The two of them left the palace. After the two left Beishan, Yen Shingu had already disappeared, as if it had never been in the future. Chapter 7. Reflection. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yenshin Valley. There are only 5 days left for the banquet of the crown prince of the Yi family. It's time to go back and surprise this group of people. I've had enough of their faces this year, especially the eldest elder. Wait and see. Liuli said, "At least it can be considered your family, why bother?" Youfan said, "Family. Ha ha ha, I haven't had the company of my parents since I was young in the Yi family, and I don't even remember them. The only one who takes care of me and Chu Chu is Grandpa Wu. Only when I was admitted to the Wen Xian Academy and became a crown prince, will my family change their mindset towards me. Before becoming a resident, I was in the Yi family and had no parents. I was always looked down upon. Although I was a member of the Yi family, during those years, the servants of the Yi family were almost riding on my head and defecating. After I became limp, they pushed all the mistakes onto my head. Now I am the street-crossing mouse in Los Angeles. They are cruel, so don't blame me for my injustice. After defeating the Yi Zisheng, I plan to leave Los Angeles with clarity and go to Xianfeng Academy. I don't know if my spot is still available. Liuli said, alas, even if you don't go back, I plan to let you go out and explore. This small city of Luo will only bury your talent. After seeing Liuli finish speaking, Youfan heard 3 explosions. Bang! 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 Liuli said, the sound is in the west, it's the sound of battle. Let's go take a look at Liuli. Is that Chior? Why are you wearing a veil? It should be her bent sword. Anyway, I haven't seen anyone use it before. Star Moon Ring. I saw a man with his left hand behind his back and his right hand tightly holding a long spear. The head of the spear was burning with a faint flame, and he said, so many people are fighting, and in the end, let you, the woman, take it away. Give me the Fusang fruit, and I'll keep you a whole body. Chior didn't speak, and there was already blood flowing from her clothes and arms. Seeing that Chior was threatened, Youfan had just stepped forward and Liuli said, wait a moment, there's still someone around. She can't die yet. Let's take a look at the situation first. The so-called mantis catching cicadas and yellow sparrows later, when there are many people, who is the yellow sparrow depends on who can tolerate it. Youfan nodded to indicate that he was right, so he watched from the side. Seeing Chior not speaking, the man with a spear said, what does it mean to not speak? Did you personally give it to me, or did I personally come to pick it up? Chior still doesn't speak. Holding the star and moon rings in hand, 3 cold sword lights rushed towards the man. Ice slash. Ding. 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 The man waved his right hand 3 times and randomly blocked it, arrogantly saying, you are still in your prime and can fight me, but you are injured now. How will you fight? What about being injured? The big deal today is whether you die or I die. I haven't finished speaking yet. 3 sounds. Pop 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 pop. 2 exciting men followed by a red-haired man who said, a big man bullies an injured woman. You're too manly, but I also want Fusang fruit. What should I do? I really can't bear to attack you, beautiful woman. After all, he may not have masculinity, but I can't. So, can you take the initiative to give it to me? Give it to me, I will protect your life. How about that? The man with the gun said angrily, who the hell do you think is not manly? You just want to help the mulberry like me, so why lift yourself so high? Haha, this brother, no, I really can't bear to act on beautiful women, especially those who are protruding and backward, so we must be different. You know, not waiting for the red man to finish speaking with a beautiful and coquettish voice, he said, it's really disgusting. If you want to fight, fight. Is it a man who is grinding and chirping? The red-haired man laughed heartily again and asked the spear man, let's take her together. In the end, who will have the strongest strength in Fusang? How about that? The man with a long spear was afraid that Chior would have a trump card. For safety reasons, he nodded at the red-haired man and said, okay, join hands. The red-haired man flipped his palm and formed a seal with the other palm, with a huge red palm print in front of both palms. The man with the long spear was not idle either, holding the spear in both hands and waving it around his body, the long spear burning like fire. Xianming palm. Red flame gun. Bang. The 2 of them looked at each other, seemingly ahead, with the smoke dissipating. A man in black held a sword in his left hand and a woman in his right hand. The 2 of them spoke out, who are you? If you want to help the mulberry fruit, you should score first come first served. The man in black is Youfan. Youfan said, it's just the same thing. I don't want to help mulberry fruit, but... The red-haired man interrupted Youfan and smiled slightly. What do you mean? Why are you blocking the two of us? I really have no idea about Fusang, but I took the heads of you two and saw that Chior was covered in blood. Then I placed Chior on the ground and said, are you okay? Leave it to me. They are very strong, be careful. After speaking, Chior has already passed out. The man with the spear said, Kid, are you trying to save the beauty with a hero? Youfan stood with his sword energy swaying slightly all over his body. The sword was silent in the abyss with a buzzing sound, and he did not use any mysterious skills. He held the abyss and slashed at the man with a gun. The man with a gun was not timid either, holding his gun and calmly confronting him. Puff. The armed man in this sword town spattered blood from his mouth. Blood fell, and Youfan didn't give the man with the spear any chance to react. His whole body was wrapped in sword energy, and his body had 20 bone inscriptions, like a red flame and sword energy entwined around Youfang's side, with a completely different aura. Just this kind of momentum makes people unconsciously feel a sense of intimidation in their hearts. What the red-haired man saw was a majestic and towering supreme king that seemed to oscillate in all directions. Is that crimson flame really a flame? Why doesn't it look like a flame? That's why it's obvious that it's bone script. Only when practicing the eternal golden body will it appear the withered wood bring spring. Youfang's sword did not strike the head of the man with the spear. He saw the man kneel down and his legs have been cut off. Ah! Ah! When the red-haired man was still shocked by what the crimson flame was, he only heard a scream and his blood flowed towards his feet. Just for a moment, the man who was a teammate was useless. He began to worry, and the next one might be himself, so he wanted to run away. Youfan saw that he seemed to be running away and immediately said, it's your turn. Don't you like to play with your palms? How about breaking your arms? Do you know who I am? I am the Huaming sect, the young master. Are you not afraid of being chased when you kill me? Youfan didn't care what you were and said disdainfully, I don't care who you are. If you bully my friend, you deserve to die. The withered would bring spring. The red-haired man casually crushed a jade talisman upon seeing the situation, and a light wall appeared in front of him, shattering. The red-haired man exerted all his strength and quickly retreated backwards. Youfan noticed that the red-haired man had already run 100 yards, and then gave up. Just then, a voice rang out, saying, wait, kid. I won't spare you next time. The red-haired man used a defensive jade talisman to escape his life, but was still injured and coughed up blood. He whispered, why is that kid so powerful that he can't even withstand the defensive jade talisman? Youfan went to the man with a gun and said, give me the space ring. Youfan used to have a spatial ring, but it was fused with the glass. Now it is worn as a jade pendant around his neck, but it is not very useful, only the illusion of the glass can be seen. After receiving the ring, he realized that this kid was a bit wealthy. There were a total of 200 gold coins, 40 shenshi, and 5 first-order Shen beast Shendan, plus his own 250 gold coins, 50 shenshi, and 10 first-order Shendan. Then the long spear on the ground and the contents of the treasure bag were placed in the ring. The battle is over. Youfan approached Chior and Liuli said, she is seriously injured now. Her internal organs were originally injured, but they were already shattered in the first battle. With her current physical condition, she will definitely never wake up again. He didn't believe it and tried to give Chior spiritual power. If her spiritual power didn't work, he changed her bone script. He found it useless, and Liuli said, I've told you all, you can't save her without it. Liuli saw Youfan take out the shinchi flower and immediately said, are you crazy? This flower can enhance your physical body. Just tell me if you can save her. Without her divine habitat flower, I wouldn't be able to get it. Liuli looked at Youfan seriously and said, find a safe place to take it for her, and use bone script to help her activate the medicine. Later, Youfan carried Shoer on his back to the stone hall where she was stored for a moment, and gave her the divine habitat flower to use bone script to activate the medicinal power. Liuli said, "Next, it's up to her." While waiting for Shoer, Youfan didn't have time to continue refining the divine pill in his body. It's not possible to completely dissipate the divine pill in 1 or 2 attempts, as Liuli said. 2 hours Yifeng's side was already fine. He looked at Shoer, her jade body exposed without any cover, her proud chest suddenly closed my eyes. What's going on? That's Shoer. Why didn't she wear anything? What about her clothes? Liuli said, Shinchi flower is a divine medicine that can enhance the body. Enhancement can also be understood as refining, Shinchi flower, and fire attribute divine medicine. So now this is very normal. I like to see it more, otherwise I won't be able to see it later. Then he opened his eyes and wanted to lay his coat on her jade body. After a few steps, he only heard a delicate voice from Chu Lian. Don't come over, turn around. So Youfan quickly turned around. This was the first time he had seen such a thing, not out of fear. Shoer took out a set of light yellow clothes from the ring, put them on, and walked towards Youfan, coquettishly shouting, "Why, you've seen them all." "No, I didn't see it. My eyes are not very good. I used to be because of reflection, purely curious to see what reflected." Reflection refers to Choer's jade body. I saw Choer's delicate body twitching slightly and her chest heaving as she said, "Thank you, that flower saved me, right? Thank you." Youfan looked at the undulating area and stuttered, "No, no, be polite." Choer looked into her eyes and said coquettishly, "Where are you looking? You're shameless." Then she adjusted her mood and said, "Master, I'm afraid I can't wait anymore. I have to hurry back. Goodbye Youfan." Choer quickly rushed out of the stone gate, and he followed suit. When he arrived at the entrance of the stone hall, he found no one in sight and shouted loudly, "Can I still see you? I will go to Fengshan Academy." Upon hearing Choer's answer, Youfan was overjoyed because he also planned to go to Fengshan Academy, so he was sure to see her. Setting off towards the night house. Chapter 8. Unrelated. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the way back to Ye's home when encountering some mysterious beasts, Youfan also solved them while walking. However, his current realm was too low and he couldn't fly. He then asked Liuli for advice. "Liuli, my true chi realm is at its peak now. What realm are there above this? When can I step into the air?" Liuli Dao said, "The realm is divided into. Practice the power realm, mobilize the whole body's essence and blood to make the body strong. Even without using pills, practicing to the extreme is twice as strong as ordinary people. True Chi realm, authentic realm, the heavenly Tao realm, once reached, one can fly harmony. This realm is further divided into 3 sub-realms. Rongdi can be abbreviated as Ronghe 1 realm, Rongtian as Ronghe 2 realms, and finally Ronghua as Ronghe 3 realms. Many people get stuck in these 3 realms and cannot make progress in their lifetime, breaking through the emptiness realm, breaking through the Dharma realm, breaking through the Tao realm, passing through 3 realms, and cutting off one's own Dharma and Tao. One can transcend mortals and have the opportunity to become a god. Entering the realm of gods, if one fails to break through the 3 realms of the Dharma, one can only step into the realm of pseudo-gods, and from then on, there is no possibility of becoming a god. The divine realm, reaching this realm, can be called the true God. Anyway, you need to know that there are people outside of us and heaven outside of us. In this world, gods cannot be the strongest beings. Otherwise, how could yen gods fall? It is difficult to kill a god. As long as the soul is not destroyed, the body can be remade. Do you understand, Youfan? Got it. Walking by the maple tree at night, I encountered some mysterious beasts and solved them along the way. I put away the mysterious beast's mysterious pill and found an opportunity to refine the divine pill twice on the way. Liuli Dao. Has it been refined? It's already the deadline for you to confront the Night Child Saint. Ah. What are you saying? Youfan didn't think much and was already 100 zhang away from the Yi family in Los Angeles, immediately heading towards the direction of Los Angeles. 2 hours entering Luocheng, the people in the city saw that Youfan was also discussing everything. Fanfan said. How come this scumbag has good legs? They won't be ready to grab our minds again when they come out, will they? Another voice said, I thought this useless person was dead. It seems that God didn't want him to die, and he even let his lame leg heal. Youfan didn't want to pay much attention to them and continued to run towards the Yi family. What's the use of having good legs? I'm not the crown prince of the Night family anymore. Have you heard about it? There was a little woman by Yi Feng's side who grew up with him from a young age. It was said that Yi Zisheng wanted to sell him to the brothel to humiliate Youfan. The man pointed at Youfan and said. Night Maple. A system underscore a Youfan stopped and saw the man still pointing and continuing his conversation. Youfan was angry and then smiled slightly, with a slightly cold smile. The man didn't stop talking when he saw Yi Feng's expression. After a moment, Youfan turned around and continued walking towards the Yi family. Puff. The man's arm pointing at Youfan had already broken and flew out for several tens of meters, followed by a stream of blood piercing the man beside him. Yi Feng's voice spread coldly, saying, the next time you'll see the scenery is not your arms, but your head and head. After a short space, the courtyard of the Yi family has already set up a martial arts competition platform. The crown prince, of course, whoever is stronger belongs to whoever. However, after Youfan is disabled, the strongest member of the Yi family is Yi Zisheng. There are also his opponents in the Yi family. This martial arts competition platform is obviously prepared for Youfan. Regardless of whether Youfan takes the stage or not, he can be humiliated and sold. Chu above was the head of the Yi family, and the elder was speaking on stage. Thank you to all the Taoist friends for coming to attend the banquet of the Yi family's crown prince. Later, Yi Zisheng took the stage and sneered, shouting, is there anyone who wants to be this crown prince too? There was a complete silence below the stage. I only heard those who came as guests say, who among the younger generation of the Yi family is still the opponent of the Yi Zisheng? One, unfortunately, was disabled a year ago. 10 minutes later the elder said, since no one has come to power to make adjustments, can we declare Zisheng as the crown prince? Yi Fei lowered his teacup and said, Shen. Bang. I only saw a sword on the martial arts stage, in an instant. When the elder sees this, why bother the little ones? It's Night Maple is here. I don't know who shouted loudly, and everyone's eyes turned to the door of Ye's house. There, a man with white hair and long clothes walked out. The person who came is Youfan. Seeing Youfan, the elder immediately laughed and said, Youfan, your legs are healed. What's the use of them? You've been disabled for a year, and Zisheng has already reached the middle stage of his true qi state. So, are you still practicing your strength? Do you still need to go on stage? The elder burst into laughter, and a group of people below laughed along. Youfan remained silent and walked step by step towards the Biwu platform. At this moment, the head of the Zhuge family said in a low voice, compared to a year ago, Youfan has undergone different changes and is not afraid of the Yi Zisheng on stage. That Yi Zisheng is one level higher than him. The head of the Li family looked down on Youfan and snorted coldly, did you see the girl downstairs? If he doesn't go up stage, Yi Zisheng will sell her to the brothel. So what if he doesn't win? He can't change the fact that Yi Zisheng sold her to the brothel. A girl is delicate and the only person that Youfan cares about in the Yi family. The Lord of Los Angeles is the strongest person in the city, and he said, you two may not be the same. Youfan is already different from a year ago. Quickly, Youfan walked to the martial arts arena. Opposite him were the Grand Elder and Yi Zisheng. The Elder said, since you're not afraid of death, let's start. Get started. Yi Zisheng looked at Youfan and smiled slightly, today next year is your death day. I don't plan to sell that delicacy to brothels. I will enjoy it myself after you die. As soon as Yi Zixing finished speaking, his face suddenly changed. When Youfan picked up the ground, his figure flashed like a fierce tiger charging towards him. Chu Chu was very worried when she saw this scene. She was afraid of accidents, but the two family guards next to her looked at her and saw Youfan enter the door. She couldn't pass in time. Everyone was taken aback and started fighting directly. Don't Youfan need to say something? Youfan understands that this is a life and death competition, and before life and death, there is still a lot of chatter and chatter. Sorry, I don't like it. Youfan took the initiative to seize the opportunity. When he rushed to the body of Yi Zixing, he directly swung his sword towards Yi Zixing's neck. Broken Star. This is the most common mystical skill of the Yi family. Due to Yi Feng's cultivation of eternal golden body and momentary reasons, this sword can break mountains and rocks. Feeling danger, Yi Zixing's face changed slightly. He dared not be careless, and the power unleashed by Youfan was already much stronger than him. With a gentle tremor in his right foot, he held his sword in both hands and stepped forward with a sword. Broken Star. Broken Star versus Broken Star bang. With the sound of an explosion, the Night Child Saint was continuously pushed back by the shock. Seeing this scene, everyone in the room was stunned. On the stage, everyone in the Night family had an unpleasant expression, especially the elder with a gloomy and terrifying expression. The elder said with a grimace on his face, "Use all your strength, don't leave your hands behind, you cannot be defeated." On the martial arts competition stage, Youfan did not stop attacking and took a step forward. Youfan swung his sword again and chopped towards Yi Zixing. Pure physical strength. Yi Zixing's face was extremely ugly. He didn't expect Youfan to be so powerful after a year of decline, completely exceeding his expectations. When he saw Youfan strike again, he didn't choose to resist. He didn't believe he would lose, so he also struck with one sword. Bang! The sword collided with the sword, and Yi Zixing's face immediately turned ugly. In the next moment, he took several consecutive steps back. If someone were to observe carefully, Yi Zixing's entire arm was trembling violently. Otherwise, the sword spirit disappeared 100,000 years ago in an instant, and the sword body was not as powerful as before. It needed nourishment in an instant, but it was not comparable to other low-level swords. On the stage, Yi Zixing exclaimed in disbelief, "You are not in the realm of refining qi. You are even one level higher than me. You are the peak of the true qi realm." The elder suddenly stood up, clenched his fists, his face darkening from gloomy to even more gloomy. The leaders of the Zhuge and Li families were also surprised to find that Night Maple was so powerful. Before everyone could recover their amazement, Youfan took another step and rushed towards him, coming to the front and back of Yi Zixing's face. With his left foot resting on the ground and his right leg fiercely sweeping towards Yi Zixing. With one leg passing by, Yi Zixing flashed past, then clenched his right hand and hit Yi Feng's leg with a punch. A faint explosion sounded. Yi Zixing's whole body was shot away, but Youfan just stepped back, and adjusted his posture after sweeping his legs. How could it be possible? His physical body was so strong that it withstood my attack. In the distance, Youfan glanced at Yi Zixing. His right sleeve exploded, and he could easily see the whole arm's blood dripping onto the ground. Yi Zixing looked at Youfan tightly and said, "What kind of opportunity can make you stronger so much in a month?" "You." Before he could finish speaking, his eyes suddenly shrank, and Youfan had already rushed towards him. Bang! Under the attention of countless people, Youfan kicked Yi Zixing and was shocked to the edge of the Biwu platform. Yi Zixing gave it a try and looked at Youfan with a fierce expression, saying, "Come and show me my strongest blow, you useless person." The sound fell, and with a stomp of his right foot, Yi Zixing was alone, like a strong wind rushing past. A strong airflow emanated from around him. Golden Snake Sword Technique. Youfan also used the mysterious techniques he learned in the space of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. On the way back to Ye's home, during the battle against the mysterious beasts, he found that his sword technique was completely different. Only when he used this move did he experience this change. He remembered that spring was life and hope, and the withered trees he had previously displayed only had life. He slowly closed his eyes, clenched them tightly with one hand, and then remembered the scene of Yen de Go farming. Ordinary people make a living by farming, and spring is life. It is the hope of the grass that wants to spread the earth, the hope of the flowers that blooms all over the garden, and the hope of the big tree that the lush branches and leaves provide shelter for the grass and flowers from the wind and rain. This is the life and hope bestowed upon the world by spring. In spring, summer, autumn, and winter, spiritual power cannot be used. This mysterious skill does not have a clear sword move, but it can have a separate space. Originally, Shen's famous skill was to feel the power of the four seasons, and when added to his sword moves, it means that he can bestow life and hope on his sword moves or swords. Later, Youfan slowly opened his eyes and saw a scene different from before. He could see the small grass and big trees smiling at him. Then Youfan struck with a sword. The withered would bring spring. This blow is different from before, mixed with life and hope. It's grass, flowers, trees, all giving me strength, life, and hope. Bang! Under the gaze of countless people, a figure flew out directly. Everyone was stunned, because it was not Youfan who flew out, but Yi Zisheng. Yi Zisheng's legs were cut off. If one day I insult my loved one, I will kneel down to redeem myself. After listening to these words, Yi Zisheng below the stage fainted. Defeated. Is this a defeat? Indeed, he is the first genius of Los Angeles. The elder looked at Youfan incredulously, as if he had lost his soul. Bold. Dare to harm my grandson. At this moment, the elder rushed towards the Biwu platform and slapped Youfan. Seeing the elder take action, Youfan did not show any surprise. He had already anticipated that he would not back down, but instead punched the elder forward. Bang! With a collision sound, the elder was directly shocked to the ground. Seeing that the elder was about to take the stage, Youfan immediately said, relying on the old to sell off the old, I really don't dare to deal with you. Are you going to kill me? You. The elder looked angrily at Youfan, his face turning pale. Youfan coldly glanced at the elder and looked towards the direction of the master, sneering, Can you announce the result of the martial arts competition? There are already people discussing it below. This elder is too shameless. We can't do anything this night, why don't we announce it? Yi Fei stood up and said, Youfan has won. According to reason, Youfan is the world. Youfan smiled and looked at Chu Chu. Chu Chu nodded as if he understood what Youfan was going to do next, and immediately interrupted, Wait a moment. I have something to say, I won't do anything about this prince. In the future, the affairs of the Yi family have nothing to do with me, Youfan. Youfan smiled, with a radical and sorrowful smile, and then said, I, Youfan, became the crown prince of the Yi family at the age of 12. Before that, my life was not even as good as a dog. It was only because my parents were not here that even the servants of the Yi family could defecate on my head. At the age of 14, I was taken by the Wen Xian Academy and used my name to oppress the people of Luoyang just to collect money and treasures. After I became limp, this group of people blamed everyone's fault on my head. It was because I was lame that the Wen Xian Academy would not accept useless people, and everyone in Luoyang was cursing me. There was silence all around, but everyone looked at Youfan. Youfan walked towards Chu Chu and took her hand, saying, Let's go. Chu Chu nodded and said, Okay. The two of them also arrived at the entrance of Youfan. When Youfan saw Elder Wu, he said, Grandpa Wu is waiting for me. Is there something I need? The 5 elders of the Yi family are relatively good to Youfan. They know that Youfan was unfair when he was young, but their own power in the Yi family is low and cannot be changed. Youfan privately calls him the 5th grandfather. Elder Wu lowered his head and said, "It's the Yi family who's sorry for you." Youfan asked, "Grandpa Wu doesn't need to be like this. I want to ask you something. Where are my parents? Why don't they come back to see me?" Wu Changlao said, "Your mother is not of our human race. She was seriously injured when she came to our small city of Los Angeles. She was saved by your father and fell in love with each other. But when you were 3 years old, no one knew what they had done when they went out. If she didn't come back, I think she might have been gone for so many years. Do not admonish those who have understood the past, and follow those who have come. Grandpa Wu wants me to look forward." Elder Wu nodded and said, "Yes, whether your parents are still here or not, you must look forward. If you are still there, you will definitely meet again." Youfan replied, "Yes, thank you, Grandpa Wu. I will definitely come back to see you someday and repay him for his kindness. Goodbye, Grandpa 5. I saw 2 figures slowly disappearing. Grandpa Wu is well aware of the grievances Youfan has suffered in the Yi family in recent years. 1 hour later. "Young master, are you okay? Although I have no father or mother, I know that it's difficult to accept this result." Youfan said, "I'm fine. Since I've been here since I was young, you don't need to call me young master anymore. If you don't mind, we'll call each other siblings." "Okay. Where are we going, Youfan?" "Fengshan Academy of the Xianfeng Empire. Let's go to Qingfeng City first. The journey is long, and we must take a cloud ship to reach the Xianfeng Empire. So in Los Angeles, I bought a carriage for 10 gold coins. Prepare to depart." Chapter 9. Knowing that blood is blood, tears are not tears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Los Angeles. The Lord of Los Angeles seemed to be waiting here for a long time. "Wait a minute, little friend." Youfan got off the carriage and said, "What does the Lord mean?" "I didn't mean to. I came here just to make a good relationship with you. Although you have nothing to do with the Yi family, you still recognize yourself as a person from Los Angeles. If you make a name for yourself in the future, I may still be able to get along with Los Angeles." Later, the Lord of Luoyang walked up to Youfan and took out a ring, saying, "Little friend, this ring contains 1,000 gold coins and 100 shenche, as well as 10 lingyuan pills that can help you recover spiritual energy. There are also 10 qishue pills that can help you recover from body injuries." Youfan clenched his fists and thanked the Lord. He will not disappoint the Lord's expectations. Youfan immediately took off the ring. "You are going to Fengshan Academy, and you must pass through Qingfeng City. This is the map of Fengshan continent, so be extra careful along the way." Youfan nodded and said, "Thank you very much, Lord." After speaking, "Put away your things and then turn around to enter the carriage quickly." The carriage disappeared from the sight of the Lord of Los Angeles. The city lord looked in the direction of Youfang's disappearance and whispered, "I hope this son is not an ungrateful person." Youfan drove the carriage and saw Chu Chu, who was already asleep, from behind. Youfan glanced at Chu, then took out the map, glanced at it, frowned. He had never been out of Luoyang before. This is too big. Driving all the way, Youfan has been in a hurry for 3 hours, finally leaving the boundaries of Luoyang. However, to reach Qingfeng City, it will take 3 to 4 days at the current speed. Unable to fly, Youfan could only continue on his journey as the sky gradually darkened. 3 times in a row, with a gurgling sound, "I was hungry at night maple." Chu Chu said. "Hee, you guy." So Youfan searched for an open space and lit a bonfire. Youfan and Chu Chu sat face to face. Above the bonfire was a half-cooked roasted chicken, which was found in the Lord of Luoyang's ring. There is indeed this elixir in the ring, along with gold coins, shenche, and food. On the sky, stars dot the sky. Taking a clear glance around, apart from the flames of the campfire, it can be said that there were no visible fingers around them. Looking up at the starry sky, he said, Youfan, I really like the stars, they twinkle and twinkle. Then the black clouds in the sky covered the moon. The unusually quiet and dark surroundings. Youfan touched his delicate head and smiled slightly, don't be afraid, there's me. The two of them ate the roasted chicken, and soon they continued on their journey. In the darkness, the young man was driving a carriage at full speed, while the girl on his left tightly hugged him, with his head slightly resting on his shoulder. The boy occasionally looked at the girl beside him, his eyes filled with indulgence. It seems that you really like this woman, Liuli said. Youfan smiled slightly and then said, I have experienced humiliation and abuse with her at the Yi family. I remember one time when Yi Zixing bullied me when I was a child and smashed my favorite windmill, so I fought with him. At that time, I was too young and Yi Zixing was one head taller than me. I couldn't beat him. Yi Zixing pushed me to the point where I was about to kick me, but he clearly rushed over and kept blocking me with his body. One night, my parents always led us up the mountain to practice. When I was a child, I was too stupid to learn anything. I was the last one to learn, and sometimes I couldn't even learn it. At night, the elder angrily threw me on the mountain. It was very dark on the mountain, and at that time, I was very afraid of it. In the wilderness and mountains, I walked dozens of miles alone. Then I saw a girl covered in blood, half kneeling in front of the body of a first-order mysterious beast cub, bleeding from the corners of her mouth. She smiled slightly when she looked up and saw me, tears in the corners of her eyes, but she didn't leave. Only then do I know that blood is blood, and tears are not tears. Finally, I heard Grandpa Wu say that when he saw the elder come back, he didn't see me, so he secretly ran out. No matter how wrong she is, I have never seen her cry before. There are still many more. I don't care if I have blood ties, but I hope I don't disappoint her. I don't want my disciple to be inhumane, said Liuli. Yes, she has suffered too much injustice at the night house. 2 hours later a touch of crimson rose from the horizon, the sun rose, and the sky was already bright. Youfan took out the map and glanced at it. It's almost here. So he continued to drive without stopping. 3 days later, Qingfeng City. Qingfeng City is considered a bustling metropolis compared to Luoyang, surrounded by mountains like Luoyang, located southwest of the Xianfeng Empire. The reason for its prosperity is that Qingfeng City has a type of transportation. Cloud ships. This is a transportation tool that is not available in the surrounding small towns, such as Los Angeles where Youfan is located. The so-called cloud ship is a flying tool that makes people who want to go to the Xianfeng Empire no longer so far away. And this time, Youfan was clear about taking a cloud ship to the Xianfeng Empire, because the Fengxian Academy was located within the imperial capital. In front of the gate of Qingfeng City, there are many people who go to the empire like Night Maple. Youfan led the carriage to a nearby tree in order to avoid attracting attention, and then entered the city with Choo Choo. Wow, what a big city, it's several times bigger than our city of Los Angeles. Youfan smiled slightly and said, it's really big. The two of them did not stay too long because they were heading to Qingfeng Tower. If they wanted to take the cloud ship, they had to go to Qingfeng Tower to buy tickets. All the cloud ships in Qingfeng City were already managed by Qingfeng Tower. The two of them strolled along the way when suddenly Choo Choo stopped at the entrance of a clothing store. Youfan saw that Choo Choo was still wearing the white servant clothes of the Yi family. Do you want it? Choo Choo nodded and said, Youfan, I want this. You said I'm a brother and sister, and I won't wear these servant clothes anymore. If you don't buy them for me, I won't leave. Okay, then you go give it a try, Youfan said. 10 minutes later, I only saw one, dressed in a blue dress like snow, revealing a pair of flawless and beautiful eyes like snow. Her appearance was unparalleled, with a jade face and vermilion lips, icy skin and bones, beautiful and unparalleled, and pure and holy, like a fairy floating in the sky. Her light blue skirt swayed like the wind, and her figure was graceful and elegant, making her even more charming and charming. This is usually neat except for the servant attire at the night house, where I hardly change clothes, isn't it nice or not? Speaking. Chu Chu's chest heaved violently, waving his hand in front of Yi Feng and saying. Yi Feng stared foolishly and said, "Ah, it looks good. Although I have been staring, I am not staring at my hands. It's not a face, but a slightly undulating area, so I touched my chin and nodded, indicating that it looked good. I asked, how much is this? Little brother, it's not expensive at 100 gold coins." The two of them had already left the entrance of Qingfeng Tower, puzzled and unsure of what Yi Feng had been staring at just now. So they said, "Am I too good? Looking to make you look foolish. You better wear a veil, otherwise there will be danger." Yi Feng said, "What threat? Why don't you speak?" Then she saw that Yi Feng had already entered the Qingfeng Tower, and she obediently put on her veil. "Boss, I want to buy 2 tickets to the Xianfeng Empire," and after buying the tickets, I immediately boarded the cloud ship. Yi Feng only realized that the cloud ship was actually similar to a ship, not flying in the sky. After getting on the cloud ship, there were rooms of all sizes on the cloud ship, which were also divided into 3, 6, and 9 levels. Because I spent 500 gold coins on tickets, I chose the cheapest room of 50 gold coins to save money. The room is very small, with a bed, a table, and a chair, very simple. At this moment, he realized that he needed more money. There are still 20 minutes left before takeoff, and we will probably arrive at the Xianfeng Empire tomorrow. Yi Feng said, "Got it." I saw Chu Chu lying lazily in bed and saying. Evening. Yi Feng sat on a stool, ready to lie down on the table and sleep. He heard, "Come up and sleep together. The bed is quite big, and I can't sleep alone. It's already morning." "Ah. Where are you putting your hands?" Chu Chu saw Yi Feng's hand somewhere under his chin. Bang! "What are you doing? What are you kicking me for?" Yi Feng had already been kicked to the ground and said. "Humph, you should be punished for sleeping dishonestly." Yi Feng said, "What's wrong with my hands? They only feel soft." Chu Chu. "Humph." System from outside the door, you can hear that you, fellow Taoists, have arrived at the imperial capital. You can disembark now. Chapter 10. Youfan City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fengshan Academy, an ancient academy located in the center of the empire, has been a renowned powerhouse on the Xianfeng continent for thousands of years. The most terrifying thing about a college is the emergence of thousands of strong individuals. It is hard to imagine how terrifying this force can be when gathered together. On the mainland, although there are many races, countless people take pride in being able to enter this ancient college. Unfortunately, the almost strict admission conditions of the college make people hesitate. Many people disembarked from the ship, all of whom were young cultivators who had registered at Fengshan Academy. Among them, Yi Feng saw that there were strengths and weaknesses, and different races had them. "Yi Feng, where are we in the empire now?" Yi Feng glanced at the map and said, "We should be in Youfan City now, not too far from Fengshan Academy." Subsequently, a young man with 2 swords beside his waist looked at Yi Feng and said calmly, "This is also my first time coming to Youfan City. Before coming, I had inquired about it. Although this city is within the empire does not care about it due to academic reasons, resulting in a very chaotic area. In this area, we have been forming cliques and camps for years, constantly seizing and killing applicants to go to the Winshan Academy. This is also a kind of test for Fengshan Academy. The weak are not worthy to see the gate of the academy. I didn't expect that the first threshold would be so cruel. How many of these warriors who got off the ship could reach the academy?" Yi Feng asked. 30 to 40%, after all, not only the people in Youfan City want to kill us, but also the people who disembark with us want to kill us and seize our treasures. After all, the academy doesn't care about these things. As long as it passes through the plane ahead, it's the way, but it's not that simple. The real danger lies somewhere. Su Deo. After the man finished speaking, he took a step without a trace. Why are you walking so fast and still want to ask some questions? Feng, I am only in the realm of refining power. Can we live to the academy? Youfan said, what stupid words do you say? We can definitely do it. Let's go. The vast plain is filled with yellow sand, and a few blurry black shadows that have just entered the plain can be seen advancing at lightning speed. These are all for the college, and looking forward, there is nothing to be seen. Youfan and his companions were also closely following. The wind in this place is too strong, it's oppressive. Chu nodded helplessly and continued to bury his head in front of Youfan. An hour later, an inn completely appeared in Yifeng's eyes, and the two of them, who were not too big, also fell behind. Entering the inn, Yifeng's face suddenly changed slightly. He saw a man with a scar on his face drinking, 3 others seemingly discussing something together, and a man with 2 swords pouring wine and chewing peanuts on the side. Hello shopkeeper, would you like a pot of tea? Youfan said. Okay, please come this way, both of you. Youfan was about to sit down when he saw a man walking over to their table and then taking out a dagger to insert into it. Your Excellency, what does this mean? I'm just passing by here and I'm thirsty for a glass of water to drink, Youfan said coldly. Chu saw the situation and retreated behind Youfan. It's not very interesting. My boss has a crush on the woman behind you. As long as you give her to me, I won't make things difficult for you. He pointed to the 2 people behind him. Youfan coldly exclaimed, is that right? I really want to see how I'm being embarrassed. After speaking, Youfan was already in his hand in an instant. The sword light had just fallen, and in an instant, a head flew into the air, landing on the table of the man's boss. Before entering, Liuli told Youfan, don't be soft-hearted in this place. Sometimes killing chickens and warning monkeys is the most effective way. Youfan looked ahead at the 2 people and said, is anyone else trying to make things difficult for me? If not, I'll sit down and drink water. No response from anyone. Youfan had just sat down for 5 or 6 minutes when the 2 of them walked up and said, the person who killed me dares to be so arrogant. Look at the knife. Youfan held a bowl in one hand and resisted in an instant with the other, you're too weak. You dare to come up and provoke me. Compared to being arrogant, I'm not as good as you. As the voice of Youfan fell, the head of the man who was chopping towards Youfan had already fallen to the ground. He stepped on his head and looked at the scar man, continuing, look, I'm dying one by one. How did you become the boss? Haha, that's crazy enough. Even if you give me the beautiful girl next to you now, you will definitely die. Let's go together. Scar man said. The sound fell from the inn, and 20 figures surrounded Youfan and the 2 of them. Do you have any last words? Kid. Shoo. The man's head flew out in an instant as he spoke. I saw Youfan with 1 sword and 1 head. The scarred man couldn't sit still and headed towards Chu, trying to threaten him. Youfan was surrounded by several people and had no chance of taking action. He saw the double-sword man stand up and wave towards the scar man, then block Chu and say, I didn't mind taking action, but you're actually going to take action against a weak woman. I have to kill you. Okay, ha, chop me off. Why are you all so arrogant when playing swords? Haha. You're still a double sword, no wonder you're even crazier than him. Scar man said. He continued, hey kid, haven't you taken out another sword yet? I don't even need a sword to slay you, I just don't want to take it slower than him. The man stepped out with 1 foot, as fast as lightning and as light as a swallow, saying. Jiguang movie. I saw 3 heads flying out of the air in an instant, and the other 2 were the last 2 people solved by Youfan. Su Lu said, you're not too slow yet. Thank you. How about making friends? My name is Youfan. Later, Su Lo saw that Youfan had put all the space rings on the corpse into his own space ring. So he puzzled and said, "What are you doing? These are all spoils of war, this half is yours. How about going to the college together?" Su Lo nodded and said, "You're very good." The three of them were driving on the plane, and Yifeng's gaze was fixed on the map. His gaze paused for a moment at the location of Humor City. Then, Youfan led the two of them slowly along the same road. The wind was too strong, and the sky was filled with yellow sand, making it difficult to open his eyes. Youfan looked at Su Lo and asked, "Why is there no wind in Youfan City? The wind on this plane is so strong." Suk shook his head and continued to follow Youfan. In the midst of the manic sandstorm, there were only Youfan and the other three. They understood that there must be no less than 10 people nearby, and the sandstorm was too strong for everyone to see each other. "I don't know how long it has been, and I can't feel how much time has passed in this place." Youfan only knows how long he has been walking, but he is not sure how long it has been. A few people completely walked out of this storm zone, and Youfan opened his eyes and sighed, "Finally, you can open your eyes wide." Why is the wind element in that area so manic? Can you feel what caused the wind element in that area to be so manic, Liuli? I can feel a little bit, but I'm not sure what it is. With your current strength, these things have nothing to do with you. What do you want to do so much? The most important thing now is to enhance your strength. Liuli said impatiently. More and more cultivators appeared in the eyes of Youfan on the vast plain, clearly less than half of the people who had just disembarked. Some of them were clearly injured, and there was still a lot of ferocity and murderous aura on their faces. They also encountered battles like clothes. Looking ahead, 3 elderly people appeared in front of everyone, and then the leader said, "My name is Dong Aoqing, and I am an elder of Fengshan Academy. Although you can pass through Youfan City, it does not mean that you have the qualifications to enter the academy. In the past, passing through Youfan City required you to go to the college on your own. However, in the past century, the wind elements in this plane have been unusually irritable. Therefore, the dean sent us 3 people to pick you up. Next, we will take a teleportation array and divide it into 3 batches to reach the college in sequence." "Liuli, what is the teleportation array?" Youfan said. Liuli said, "Are you having a hard time using your brain? The teleportation array is the place where you can teleport and connect with this teleportation array. This method can only be achieved by breaking the Dharma realm, and the old man with a white beard who just spoke is a genuine fusion realm. The old man who blends the 2 realms has a different aura on his body," said Youfan. Su Lo said, "It's already the 3rd batch, it's our turn. Let's go." 1 minute can be said to be fleeting. The light of the teleportation array disappeared, and they arrived at the magnificent and huge gate of the Shen Academy. In front of the gate, there were 12 huge stone pillars that were incredibly thick, depicting various divine beasts and birds, including green dragons and white tigers, as well as white Jinwu. These stone pillars have stood for thousands of years, with a sediment of time. Undoubtedly, this scene before us is a holy land for many people's spiritual cultivation, and everyone in Fengshan continent is willing to cross tens of thousands of miles just to seek the Tao. I saw it clearly, my eyes wide open, and my mouth, was already extremely shocked. I haven't waited for everyone to come to their senses yet. A voice came, "If you want to enter the college, you can pass the front test. Just pass it." As everyone entered one by one, Su Lo said, "Aren't you going in? You go first, I will enter after I am clear, and then." "I'm in, brother." Looking at Chu entering the test, Yifeng's heart calmed down, and then he also entered the test with everyone. Just as he arrived at the intersection, he only heard a female voice coming. "Stop, you can't enter." "Why can't I enter?" Yifeng said she was dressed in red, descending from the sky like the sun, but it also set her off like a flower. She was fresh and beautiful, with beautiful curves and skin like snow, and her appearance was extremely outstanding. She said, "Didn't you see Shi Zhuliang? You were specially selected by the college. Why did you come so late? The deadline for coming is that you are no longer worthy to enter the Wind Xian Academy. It is obvious that the people around have noticed the situation here, and many are looking at Yi Feng and the students from Fengshan College. Ah, isn't this sister in Miaoji? What's going on? It seems like she's not in a good mood. Get out of here now, what are you still waiting for? Didn't you hear Miss Miaoji say you're not worthy to enter the college?" A young man said. "Why didn't I know that your institution has this rule that if you come late, you're not worthy to enter the institution?" Yi Feng said discontentedly. And Miaoji angrily said, "As a special recruit from the college, you actually came a month late. Did you take the college seriously? So do you think you still have the face to enter the college?" "I came late because I had something to do, and I didn't disrespect the college," Yi Feng said. "Not to mention that there is no other way, the gate of the academy will always be open to the geniuses among them. If it is not possible, then take the ladder. If you can pass through in Miaoji, not only will you apologize, but you will also become a key training object of the academy, with limited resources available to you," someone said. Yi Feng was surprised. The key student nodded and whispered, "It seems like we can give it a try. You save it, even if you want to go for a haircut, don't even look at yourself. I don't know if the sky is high and the earth is thick, but the ladder of heaven can lead to human life. Don't be unable to come out when the time comes." And Miao said, "Is Sister and Miaoji worried about me? If I pass, can I apologize?" Yi Feng said. "Apologize, it's okay to accompany you to double cultivation. Let's talk about it if we can come out alive." And Miao said. "Isn't it true that my goddess wants to double cultivate with this kid? Fortunately, it's a ladder to heaven. If you really want a beauty, you don't have to worry about your life." Many voices like this, no one believes that Yi Feng can pass by. It's not impossible to double cultivate with a peerless genius who has passed through the ladder. She knows that no one has ever crossed the ladder since the establishment of the college. "Where is the ladder?" The man beside him casually pointed to it. Yi Feng immediately jumped up. In an instant, everyone at the entrance of the college fell silent and quiet. "Isn't he really daring?"